Welcome to the Washdown Podcast, episode number 68. And tonight, our guest is Anna Odirisio. Anna is a paramedic, and she stops by to talk to us about what happened whenever she got COVID and kind of the hurdles that she's gone through. But I'll let you guys, or let her tell you guys in her own words, what happened and what her life's like now. So I hope you enjoy. Again, episode 68, the Washdown Podcast with special guest Anna Odirisio. Watching this shit.
That's why they changed the rules. It got tired of people.
Yeah.
Going one-on-one and cheating. Yeah.
I don't know. It made the game better, I think, because you didn't have to wait so damn long to actually have a gun that was functional.
Yeah. You had the parts you needed.
Yeah.
To make it good, you didn't go into a room and get noob tubed by some
12-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you look at me before you said that?
I didn't know how I wanted to word that.
So you're like, look at the lesbian. What does the lesbian say? Hard to say this to a lesbian.
Is that kind of like what the fox says?
I don't know.
Is that what you're gonna fucking ooh at me?
No, I'm gonna.
Shit. Is that what you're gonna do?
No, I'm gonna make you say what you want to say.
No.
We're friends, okay?
I'm not
I
gonna say anything bad
confirmed
about
that we were
12-year-old.
friends because when I was at PT today, I confirmed with Holly that we are friends.
Yeah.
She said you talk about our friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're friends. So you
but they know
got
you.
something to say. You say it.
I wouldn't talk about Jeremy. They don't know who that is. I wouldn't talk about Miranda. They don't know who that is.
Who don't know who I am?
A lot of people. You're not as cool as you think you are.
Bullshit.
That's why you're behind the camera.
Oh, shots fired. Oh, my God.
Can I borrow your mic?
No. Thank you. This is actually what we probably should have done to begin with. So this is good. We actually don't want to hear anything he says.
You really won't. He doesn't say shit anyway.
Yeah.
You can't get a word in with Miranda's here.
It's mostly heavy breathing and just like
questions. 30-minute questions.
It's heavy breathing and looking at articles on his phone to stay relevant in the
And
conversation.
like spitting into his bottle. I know. Like, am I the only one here that like doesn't have? No, I'm. That was. I just felt like I need something like a stick of gum I could just stick in my front lip.
Yeah.
So I could be cool like you guys.
Yeah, it's bad habits.
It's okay.
The stress of the job. We've actually talked about it.
The stress of the job?
No, why people smoke and chew and drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
What
sorry.
did you just do?
I am
so
sorry. I'm trying to
it's
find my.
Yeah, you're good right there.
apologize.
I don't know if my nephew messed up the cord or the input on that microphone, but he's
Blame the
2.
2-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so he comes in here and he goes, sing. So he comes down here and yanks on the mics and the cords and everything else.
I'll
And
just keep my hands in my lap and I'll just move. Yeah, I'll just.
Ricky Bobby this shit.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Do I?
That's just what I'm gonna do.
All right.
I know what I would do with my hands if I was a girl.
Stop. We're not even going there. Anna, thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Please say something to make him stop talking.
I've been trying to figure that out every day of my life for the past 6 months, and I still haven't figured out the code.
Well, why don't we kind of start at the beginning, like
Cool.
we do with almost everybody, of how did you get into the fire service EMS? Like, is that something that you, whenever you were like 7, you were just like, yes, I want to be a medic.
I want to hate my life. No, no. I wanted to be a flight nurse when I was younger because my mom was a nurse and my dad's a dentist, and so I always knew I wanted to be in medicine. And I never really wanted to be at the hospital. So like, I could just take people to the hospital. And then as I got through school and my education, I realized like you have to spend a really, really long time to get to that level where you're a flight nurse. Like it is years and years of training and you may not even get a spot. So I had life kind of happened and I was on my nursing path and I got kind of pushed off that path. And so I took some time off school. I worked with animals for a bit and then animal hospital and was like, okay, like maybe I could work with animals. Like people suck and animals are really cool. But then I decided,
People don't suck.
Well, no, what I decided was animals are awesome, and I don't want to be somewhere where animals are dying all the time. I don't want to be in that environment, and so I can detach myself a lot better from people than I can from animals. So I kind of was like, all right, well, I guess I'll go do the EMS side because that leads to a helicopter at some point. And so it was kind of, along the same lines, and got into EMS and did a year as an EMT at a private ambulance company, and then finally got into the 911 sector and got my medic and was just hooked. I just, I always wanted to be where the actual chaos was happening. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be getting the backstory. I wanted to be there like right as it occurred or, shortly after. So, it's like when you're driving and you see a car wreck, I'm always that person that's like, and
Oh, you're that person.
Yes, I was
Okay.
that person. I was that person.
Which is why she drives a Subaru. So when she crashes,
I
because
am
she's
safe.
rubbernecking.
Yeah.
She'll walk away. And
I will walk
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought ahead. So, but yeah, so that's kind of how I ended up in EMS, and
Okay.
I was able to not have to go the firefighting route, which was kind of nice, and not that I didn't want to, but it was just I knew I was hungry for the the trauma and all that stuff, and just wanting to get skills and things like that. And if I ended up being interested in the fire side, that's even better, but things kind of worked out the way they did. And
So how long have you been?
I've been a medic for 5, and I've been in EMS for 7 of total, so
Okay.
7 years.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the whole not wanting to be places where animals are dying all the time. That I feel you there.
Pass.
Yeah.
That's a hard
Yeah.
pass for
I
me.
don't want to do that either.
It's like spending your day with like really cute animals is awesome, and then you get that moment where it's like, oh, this animal is like really not doing well, and then you realize you're at the end of the road, and it's like, I got really attached real quick, but it's obviously it's hard not to. So I was like, I don't want to spend my days doing that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Not me either.
yeah. So
No, I'm sad.
Way to bring it down,
See,
Anna.
Yeah.
I just have that gift. I thought it was just me around non-EMS people where I was like, I really have
Yep.
the way
Nope.
of bringing
Wet
it
blanket.
down.
Yeah.
Wet blanket.
Remember,
Cool.
remember SNL with Debbie Downer?
Wah, wah. Hey, she's funny, so I'll take
Yeah,
that.
but you're not.
Oh, all right. Well,
Wow.
see,
Be at
This
least
is
halfway
just-
nice to the guest.
All right.
man,
I'll try.
that one really hurt. Like, just,
I apologize.
Do you have an AED down here? I might need it.
I do not. Don't
All
you have
right.
one of those already installed?
I got a magnet in my pocket. This is what you get. This is what happens when you don't come to work.
I come to work.
Not today. You didn't.
That was not my choice.
She was prepping for this.
I did. Yes,
Yeah.
I was spending all my day, all hours of the day watching the podcast, figuring out like how can I be as cool as these guys. That was my.
And she was like,
ultimate
"Oh
goal.
yeah, show up."
Yeah.
And then I realized that I didn't have to do very much. So
No, it ain't
Yeah.
hard.
5% effort maximum. Any more than that, and you make us look bad.
isn't it just 80% of it showing up?
I think 95% of it's showing
Oh, okay,
up.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. So I've already
Yeah.
met that.
Yeah. And you showed up on time.
Yeah.
But
And before somebody else didn't almost show up.
Didn't almost.
Almost. We had
Almost.
money on it.
Yeah. Almost only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. He
Or-
made it, so.
Or if Marine's gonna be here or not.
I mean, it's not fair because I did have to reschedule. Like this is like the third time we've had like.
Yes.
So I think the first time.
The first time I was sick,
Mm-hmm.
and then
You had a family emergency.
you had a family emergency,
Yes.
and then we
Yes.
finally made it happen.
Yeah. So
Perseverance.
third time's a
Perseverance.
charm.
Yeah. It's if at first you don't succeed,
Try
just
again.
give up and go home.
All right, well,
I
if
truly
that's
don't know if we
okay,
can fit
cool.
any more one-liners in this podcast tonight.
Oh, I bet we can.
That's all. We have talked in cliches for the last 8 minutes.
I bet we can.
Yeah.
Like
Just
the
waiting.
the originality content of this episode right now is.
Zero.
I'm gonna give it a 2.
Zero. Okay.
Well,
But it's
we
fun.
haven't even started with the movie quotes yet.
Yeah.
Get to those, please.
In due time. Jeez.
now he's just bringing the mood down for everybody. So
Yeah.
I pulled an Anna. I'm sorry.
You what?
I pulled an Anna. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll give you the one, and then after that, you got to go.
Yeah.
Same rule applies to me though. If I bring it down one more time, I'll just get up and leave.
What if we just subbed Chris instead of you? Like, if you bring it down one more time, Chris has to leave.
All right.
Okay,
I'll do that
can we
real
get a
quick.
vote on that? Because I'm an aye right now. I'm a preemptive aye.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so why don't we talk about what we're here to talk about? So you got the COVID, and you did not have an asymptomatic reaction.
No, not in the slightest bit.
No.
I mean, I was very fortunate that I wasn't at the complete opposite end initially. Initially, it was just that typical fever, shortness of breath, and I think the biggest thing was because of when it was in the pandemic, there was so much uncertainty around it where, you just kept hearing all these horrible things. And, so when I remember getting that phone call being like, hey, like you tested positive, and that had been like the 5th or 6th time I had been tested in the year. Cause I mean, every shift you're running person after person after
People
person.
get tested a lot.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I've already been tested a million times, and, and it was almost a relief to get it because it was like, okay, now I can kind of, see what this is all about, and I can, get the gist of what's going on. And it just never got better, and so months would go by, and, they're like, oh, just give it time, and, you're just deconditioned and things like that. And I remember, I started having these weird cardiac symptoms where I would be outside, like walking the dog, just to go to the bathroom. And it's like, I would get progressively more and more short of breath. And then it's like, my heart rate's dropping. And it's like, but I'm breathing as if my heart rate should be spiking. So it's like my breathing's increasing and my heart rate is just dropping. And I'm just like, what? Like,
I'm not a medic, but that seems to be bad.
It is not good. I will tell you that. It is not good. And thankfully my wife is a medic. And so, I was very lucky to have her with me and kind of give me that reassurance, and she was able to, I trusted that, if something really bad were to happen, she could, take care of things. And I just remember like just, like laying in bed, just being like, what is happening to my body?
So I don't want to interrupt you, but I kind of want to know what like therapies or treatments or whatever were they doing? Because I mean, you hear all of this stuff of, from Joe Rogan to Fauci, and everybody's talking about different stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what for you were they doing?
So initially it was just like very basic, it was like, hey, here's some prednisone, here's some antibiotics, here's an inhaler. So that way I don't get a secondary infection on top of COVID, because I'm super prone to getting bronchitis and things like that. And that would have been, not great.
Yeah.
And I'm not a medic terms, not good.
Yeah.
And so, I started off with that, and, the whole idea was like, hey, maybe the prednisone will kind of help, because it's like, well, maybe it's all the inflammation, maybe that's kind of throwing things off. And then it was like, okay, well, now you'll start seeing a pulmonologist, because that's the most, appropriate next step. And I go to pulmonology, and it's like, you can't find anything. And yet I'm still, like in his office, like not being able to breathe. Mm-hmm. So then, then it was like, as I kept bringing up, hey, like my heart rate keeps dropping, they're like, well, maybe we'll send you to cardiology. Maybe we'll kind of throw that out there. But it took several times of just being like, hey, like, but they weren't seeing it when I was in their office. And so, I mean, I get it. It's hard to figure out a plan if you can't see it. I mean, how many times have we been on a call where it's like, well, my heart rate was 180 before you got here, and we get there and it's normal,
Throw them on the monitor, start your IV, and let's go.
And
have you ever had an anxiety attack?
And that's, I that was a lot of kind of what was put on me from the initial cardiologist I saw was, is like, well, you could just be having anxiety, and I kind of had to have that come to Jesus moment where it's like, hey, like I get that. I get where that might be, your initial assessment, but it's like, I'm a paramedic. I'm in high stress situations all the time. I know when I have anxiety, like that's not a mystery to me, but I should be able to walk my dog to the mailbox and back, to go outside or go to the mailbox without having, my heart rate just drop,
Did you carry your lawn chair with you? You take a break halfway?
No, I would, like if I was, we would go pick up groceries from Aldi, and I would bring the car, up to the door, and then my wife would come out and she would have to bring the groceries in for me. Or I'd have to make several trips where it was just there'd be no way. If we wanted to buy dog food, I probably couldn't even pick up the 50-pound bag of dog food. Or I'm walking around Costco with my arms on the cart, just exhausted, because you feel like you just can't physically hold your body up. So I went to the cardiologist, and they were like, okay, you can, wear this heart monitor for a couple days and we'll see what's going on. And nothing really was objective, with their data. And I think that was part of the problem, is that with COVID, there's so many of these, and this is just my opinion, there's so many tiny nuances that happen that we don't have the ability to test for a lot of these things. Just because you have a patient on the monitor where their heart rate's normal, their oxygen's normal, and their lung sounds are clear, doesn't mean that there's not something happening underneath.
Well, and it seems to affect everyone so differently. Mm-hmm. Of the four of us in this room, if we all had it, everybody's got different symptoms, mm-hmm. which, I know all three of you have had it. I haven't.
I had a sinus infection.
Yeah.
Basically what it was.
Yeah. And so, so it took a really long time, and so I did a stress test. I did a cardiac, I think an echo, and then those were mostly normal is the response I got, where it was the stress test. Well, the actual test didn't go that well. They're like, well, we don't think your heart's the reason why you're having these symptoms. I had symptoms that they were just well, we're just not sure why. So then they just kind of called it as well, there's, it's unremarkable, or there's no diagnosis or anything from that. And so, a last ditch effort, the cardiologist was like, well, let's try a tilt table test. Cause at the time, and even now, there was a lot of talk about COVID causing a condition called POTS, which I'd only ran one patient that has had POTS prior to me having COVID, and basically it's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, where it's kind of like orthostatic hypotension, where if you get up from a chair, your blood pressure drops. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of like you change position and your body doesn't know how to regulate your heart rate and your blood pressure. So if I stand up from a chair, my body can't bring the blood up to my brain, and so then I get dizzy or lightheaded. Excuse me. And so they're like, okay, let's do this tilt table test. It's kind of the standard test. At one point, they kind of have been getting away from it, but they're like, well, let's just see. So they put you on this table, and you're laying flat, and it's almost like you're on a stretcher, So they got the straps on you and everything, and they're doing a 12 lead. They got the blood pressure cuff. They're monitoring me from head to toe basically, and okay, so we're going to tilt you up to about, I think it's 70 degrees. It's not quite standing up straight, but you're kind of just you're just kind of hanging out, Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, so we're just going to sit in this dark room, and we're going to watch you for 15 minutes, and we won't interact with you. Just tell us what you experience, and, you might faint. That's normal, because if we think you have POTS, then that's what should occur in that position. And so, and I remember distinctly before they have you, obviously when you do any kind of medical testing, you sign
a waiver.
Yeah. And so, they're like, oh, do you have an advance directive? Would you like us to make one for you? And I was like, I kind of scoff. I'm like, oh, well, if I need that, we have got big problems.
Which is what any of us would have said.
Yeah. And so, I was like, all right, cool. You're just doing a test and probably won't show anything. So, so I'm in that position, and about 3 minutes in, I'm like, ooh, it's reminding me of being, I grew up Catholic. And so being in mass, right before lunch when it gets hot and your knees are locked, and kids would just drop like flies, cause it's you're hungry, your blood flow can't get to your brain. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling too good. And, start getting kind of sweaty, and it's I think I'm going to pass out. And as soon as those words left my mouth, I was out. And when I came to, there were 15 nurses in the room and a couple of doctors. And it was I came to and I'm like, there's like, they're putting oxygen on my nose and everything like that. And I can just see it on their faces. They're like, hello, welcome back. And I was like, oh, something bad happened, didn't it? And they're like, yes, something did happen. And I got a lot of different, initial, not diagnoses, but, one person was like, oh, well, it looked like you were seizing. And another person was like, hey, like, this is what it looked like was going on. But I guess what had happened is my heart just flatlined for, I still don't know how long I was actually dead for, but I know it was for at least 20 seconds.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So did you see Jimi Hendrix?
I did have like weird, I don't know, it was almost like it just felt like I was dreaming but I didn't know anybody in my dream. And I think it was because I was like halfway trying to wake up and it was all like the nurses. And so I'm just like having like the best nap of my life. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Like, I was kind of pissed when I woke up because I was like, God, that was such a great nap. And it's like, oh, all right, cool. And that was not a nap.
No, that was almost permanent.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it was kind of like everyone was like, probably going to need a pacemaker. And, and it was just such a strange thing because, like they've had, I don't know how many people they've done tilt table tests on, and, everyone was just as stunned as I was. And so, because it's not like, and the funny thing is my heart rate didn't even drop during this test. My blood pressure didn't drop. No, it was just,
it just stopped.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was kind of a weird, experience.
Yeah. I mean, it almost stand to reason, like, especially since you were feeling symptoms of feeling faint and all that, that, your blood pressure and your heart would have been doing something. Not just.
It almost seemed like.
Body's weird, man.
Yeah.
I know.
It's kind of like when, like, it's like you're playing Xbox or you're playing on your computer and it freezes and it's like, I got to do a hard restart, You
mean PlayStation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck
Sorry.
Xbox.
That's why you guys don't have any sponsors or views, because you're pushing off all your Xbox users.
Fuck Xbox.
Great. I did just watch the first episode of Halo.
I was gonna say I heard a little. I heard that.
Just because he can't be a cool kid.
That's cool.
I gotta buy batteries every 2 days. I just plug mine in and charge it.
So do I.
Just saying. And how long did it take Xbox to catch up on that one?
I think a while.
Yeah.
So like that's been pretty standard with PlayStation for
a
long time, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled broadcast. So you died.
Yeah. So yeah, back to that. So I died.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of from there. It got a little tricky. There was just a lot of things that.
Let's fast forward to the pacemaker.
Yeah. Yeah. So fast forward 3 months, I'm getting a pacemaker, and it's just like. I'm talking to the doctor, and she's just like, yeah, we'll just put it in and you just go about your day. And, and I'm like, what? Like,
excuse me?
Yeah. Like this is, I mean,
in and out. It's like 15 minutes.
It's
30 maybe.
I think my initial one was a little longer just because
you got prep time.
Yeah.
So they actually put it in, because I did them during my clinicals at medical school. And I was like, that's it?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a car battery.
Yeah. They literally, yes.
Neutral, ground. Or, I know it's not how it is,
but
positive,
I mean,
and negative.
Positive, negative.
Yeah. So they explained it to me. It's like, like, hey, we just make an incision, and there's a few different options of how you can do it. So that's not, there's a couple different ways. But for me, it was, hey, we'll make an incision. We'll put the pacemaker right underneath your skin. And then what they do is they use an X-ray to guide the wires through your vein into your heart. Mm-hmm. And so that's how they actually get the leads into your heart. So I was like, yeah, all right, cool. And, and they don't fully, like, I wasn't intubated or anything, they just gave me the Versed and fentanyl. And I mean, I was,
Feeling pretty good.
They give you.
Yeah, I was
They
feeling.
numb up the area.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
You don't feel it.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember there was another nurse in the room that also was named Anna. So every time my cardiologist would be like, "Hey Anna, I need you to go grab," I'm like, and thank God I'm tied. Like, I'm tied down to the table because you're not fully.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I got it, and then they're like, no, Anna, not you. You need to sit down.
Yeah.
So
Stay very, very still.
yeah, and I kept asking about people's favorite Olympians because it was right around the Olympics, and God, this poor nurse, my nose was so itchy, and I never understood, because the oxygen, it was just like, God, get this out of my nose, and I kept asking the nurse to scratch my nose, and she just scratched my nose for about 30 minutes, and
Not a bad job for $50 an hour.
Yeah.
no, it was, everyone was very nice, and and it was just, I stayed the night, and the next day it's like, all right, go home.
Don't die.
Yeah. Yep. Don't die. So
Seems to be working.
yeah.
Yeah.
I trip her every day. I can't get to fire.
You know what? You know there's certain things that will make it fire, and so
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Like what?
Sometimes when you shove me though, it does take me by surprise. I do get a little
It was one
flutter.
time, and you tried to open a door. You don't. I open the door.
What if I'm in front of you?
Then you wait patiently.
I'm just gonna stand in front of the door
It's
next
not my
time.
fault
I'm
that you have a
not.
longer stride than I do.
I'm still waiting
If
on that
you're-
list of how to make a fire.
You ain't getting that one.
Apparently pizza does the trick.
Yep.
Is the
What?
Oh, actually, it is kind of funny. So, depending on what vehicle I'm in and what part of town, I think it's my pacemaker thinks that I'm working out because the bumps, and so we'll be driving along, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
So
you-
pretty much any part of town.
yeah. So
Whenever we're riding, we got city vehicle, right? No lights are on, no siren, and I'm driving like a drunk guy.
you're like swerve, just avoiding it.
We did hit a pothole, and I thought it was gonna take us straight to hell. Thing was huge. Didn't even see it. All of a sudden, it was there,
Yeah.
and it was
I thought you broke your other hip on that one.
had me too.
Like it was bad.
It hurt.
It was bad. Yeah.
The links you will go to be a jerk.
That one was on accident.
You're going
I
to cause
think-
yourself pain
you
just to
know-
get her pacemaker to fire.
That's the fire service. She knows damn good and well she can't go back in a station.
Yeah. Well, thankfully,
I was in my truck too, my own personal truck. There's no way I would have hit that on purpose.
I still don't know how you didn't see that. I mean, come on, like this
He
thing
can't
was
see over the
huge.
steering wheel.
Yeah.
This thing was huge.
I drive like a 90-year-old lady.
God, I mean, come on.
Yeah, you didn't see it either. I don't want to hear it.
I did see it, and I braced because I thought you saw it,
By the time you
Mister. I got eyes on everything.
by the time you saw that and you braced, there was no swerving.
Yeah. I mean, you could have. I mean, you probably would have flipped the truck. So.
Yeah. It was on
I
a
mean,
side street.
it's,
That was a busy one too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So.
I mean, you couldn't. It was like, this is gonna hurt.
Yeah. So yeah. So now my life consists of it's like I literally feel like I'm an 80-year-old woman. Like I'm wearing compression socks right now. Granted, they're American ones and they're cool, but like I'm just.
Hey, easy. I wear compression socks whenever
Thank you.
I play softball. So
Thank you. Okay, but you don't wear them all the time.
No.
So.
No, I do not.
But I do give you credit though. I
Yeah.
do. You're like partially there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you should go watch him play softball, and you'll understand why he
Why he-
wears
yeah.
compression socks.
because I get after it.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, he yells and screams at everybody else for what they do.
That just sounds like dedication in my book.
Yeah. Okay. Ozzie Smith can do that. He cannot. If you don't know who Ozzie Smith is, go look him up.
He hasn't played softball with us in like 4 years.
There's a
Well,
reason.
yeah, because Grandpa's got the bad hip.
Yeah.
Hips.
Yeah, hips.
Hips. Yeah.
So I'm hoping after after
Yeah.
a while you'll have a.
I'm gonna get with Carl Weathers.
He's going to be training on the beach. He needs a montage.
It's all in the hips.
It's all in the hips.
Oh, my goodness. So I'm assuming then with the pacemaker, did they find damage in your heart Or did they ever, I mean, it was just like,
I mean, it's like, what's the...
yeah, why?
So that's still, we're still trying to figure it out because there really isn't a lot of data on it. But there was actually recently a study, I think, out of St. Louis through the VA system, where they found that people that had COVID, whether it was mild or asymptomatic or severe, were, I can't remember the exact percentage or numbers, but most of them were like way more likely to have heart problems compared to the average person. And it's anything from dysrhythmias to, sudden cardiac events to heart attack, to pretty much anything. And so I've kind of had this theory for a long time that because when I initially started having symptoms, I started having them in my vocal cords, which I thought was very odd. Like, that's where my shortness of breath was coming from. It wasn't from my lungs, like most, kind of most of the cases at the time. And so, I was like, well, I'm braiding down and, my vocal cords, and it's like, it just feels like it's like in my vagus nerve or something like that. I'm like, that's the only thing I can think of that would be explaining why my heart rate drops. Sometimes my blood pressure drops, and why I would still be having shortness of breath. And kind of on this weird train where it's like, I'm breathing fast. My heart rate should not be this slow, like when I'm in this, these symptomatic moments. And so all my doctors have been kind of hesitant to give me any kind of diagnosis because they still don't know. So it's kind of been like, well, like, we think it might be your sinus node or, something like that. But recently I did have a doctor that he felt pretty confident that, hey, like, we know this thing attacks the nervous system. We don't have a way to test for it, though, which is the only unfortunate thing. But, it's like, as we kind of continue, through the pandemic and through all the research and everything, hopefully they'll be able to pin it down. But I mean, he just said based on my symptoms, it's like, because, you have a lot of people that they get tachycardic, their heart rate just skyrockets, just sitting in a chair. And so that's also within the same playing field of, your vagus nerve. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been told. I'm still not 100% sure, but they have like a,
Yeah. Well, and like we talked about earlier, it seems to affect everybody differently. I mean, there's cases of people getting like dementia-like symptoms or,
the brain fog.
Yeah. The brain fog, and then I read a report, I didn't read all of it, but there was a group of doctors wanting to basically reclassify COVID because, for the longest time it's been a lung disease or an airborne virus type thing. And they wanted to reclassify it as a blood virus. Yeah. Because they said that the way that it attacks your lungs is through actually your blood. And
like the microclots and things like that. Yeah.
Kind of seems like it's a multifactorial disease.
Yeah. Okay, Erica.
Shout out
in my medical opinion,
Dr. Carney.
But that's the thing that's the thing that's so hard is because it does affect everybody so differently. Yeah. And there's no, like, you can't just, like, we talked about earlier, just the four of us in this room. It's like you had your result from it. You had a sinus infection. You were pretty much asymptomatic. And I've been around it since day one and haven't got it. So
have it. Yeah.
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 I mean,
it doesn't know that he's had it.
I've been tested plenty of times. It would have showed up.
It does always seem like it has attacked the weakest system in the body. And people are like, well, I'm always healthy. I'm like, well, you were. Like, you were healthy. Guess what? Your nervous system just was your weak link, and now you found something to expose it.
Yeah. Well, and, I think it attacks the parts of your body that sometimes you don't, just because you don't have heart problems or, kidney problems or kind of the obvious, it's like, kind of you're right.
Did you eat your Flintstone vitamins growing up?
I did.
Damn, I did too.
I did.
I missed the Flintstone vitamins. They were so good.
Man. They still have them, don't they?
And they're gummy. They're gummy now.
Yeah. My favorite meme of all the pandemic
I'm gonna eat
was it was the one that had like the Flintstones vitamins with the glowing red eyes, and it was like when the coronavirus enters your body. It was like Flintstones vitamins from 20 years ago.
I got this. It's my time to shine. It like steps up to the plate like it's not in this house.
Osmosis Jones.
Yes.
Vaguely, yes.
That's what I think about.
Wasn't Chris Rock and Will
Yeah.
Smith in that?
Oh, I knew this was going to come up.
One of the many movies they've done together.
Yeah.
Man. Talk
Or
about
TV shows.
Yeah. We kind of touched on that last night, but
What'd the five fingers say to the face?
yeah. It was kind of a bitch slap too after I've watched it like 10 times today.
Did you watch it like actually like happen like during the show?
Who watches the Oscars?
No.
Well, I don't know.
I didn't even know they were on until I got the
I
video
didn't
sent
either.
to me.
Well, no, because I saw the memes, you know, and I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. And then my wife sent me a video where you could see like the dialogue afterwards.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, because they cut it here in the States, but they left it running in Australia.
Yeah, I saw it from the Australian news.
And the Australians are like, I'm posting this shit.
yeah, and then they're like, well, what do you think was going through his mind at the time? And it's like, I'm like, this is the kind of news I want to watch, where it's
I
like,
like
you got
all
to see the whole
conspiracy
thing.
theories you're seeing now. They've been fun to watch.
With
So there's people out there, and I don't know if it's real or not. You never know with Hollywood. You can't trust them.
I haven't heard any conspiracy
So
theories.
there's
yet.
one I saw that had it was like a 5-minute video of the guy breaking it down. How, Chris Rock saw him coming, and then he put his left foot forward to
Like he
brace
braced.
himself, and then leaned in, and then like you stop it and slow it down. There's a pad, and then of course it was a kind of a bitch slap. I mean, come on.
so
I spanked a dog harder than he slapped
so
him.
I will.
Not really, but
I'll give you that.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they're actors, and that's
I'll
True.
I'll give you that. But if you look at Will Smith's reaction to the joke initially,
yeah.
yeah,
he's
where
kind of
laughed.
like, haha.
Oh, and
Then he looks over,
you can tell she
she is
not
not
happy.
happy.
Yeah,
and then the
there
way
was
that
an eye roll in there.
yeah, the way that I mean, obviously, yes, it was a bitch slap and it was stupid and
It almost
whatever.
seemed like he almost pulled it.
But when
But-
he got back to his chair,
Mm-hmm.
whenever he said, "You keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth," and then said it again, and the way that he said it, he's
Yeah.
not that good of an actor.
I mean, it was, but
He's gotten better.
but the thing is like,
I'm not saying it's fake or real. You don't have to convince me. One, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's two rich guys, and honestly, I think Chris Rock should press charges. Like, oh, you want to hit me on national TV?
That's what
All
Joe
right.
Rogan said.
Yeah.
Let's play the game.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey went off.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, and it's just like
He said he was disgusted
well,
and sickened.
like they said at the Australian news guys. It's like if you don't like what he said, like you can leave.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
I mean,
have, you can talk to him after the show and go, hey man, like you know,
I do.
like that wasn't appropriate.
And
you
that's
know?
what Josh Barnett was saying because him and Joe Rogan were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Barnett's like, he goes, he could have handled it a million different ways. He could have, went backstage and they could have talked. He goes, you don't just go up and hit. And these are two, like, they're fight guys.
Yeah.
You would expect them to say, yeah, go punch him in. I mean, that's basically what Jocko said. Jocko's like,
Did Jocko?
yeah. Jocko's like, well, he crossed the line, and Will Smith, he goes, now that's the delineation, because when you slap somebody, you're giving them the opportunity to realize they have crossed the line and correct themselves.
True.
He goes, he didn't go up and punch him in the face.
Yeah.
He slapped
picked
him.
That. He picked that for a reason.
Yeah. It's to humiliate you and let you know that you're my bitch.
Now, do you think he would have reacted differently with a different comedian?
If The Rock would have said it, I think Will Smith's ass would have stayed right in the seat.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been,
You mean
down,
had
for
it been
example.
someone not
Yeah.
not the size of Chris Rock?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it had been somebody Will Smith's size or bigger, I don't think he gets up and does anything.
Or
He may have verbally spouted something off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think
Hey,
you think he would have
I
done
don't
Joe
like
Rogan?
that.
hey, you
no.
over there.
Hey, that's not
That's
nice.
what I mean.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes. It's even more of a bitch move.
Yeah.
You-
Well, it's just kind of.
So it's kind of like picking on the little guy.
a little bit.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
I mean, Chris Rock's not a fighter. Never has been.
Yeah.
Never will be.
You
He
know
said
what?
that.
And
It's not right.
I can't speak
Even
like
if the joke crosses the line.
yeah.
well, and it
You know what I
wasn't
mean?
even.
And it wasn't
really,
even that bad of a like
Yeah.
I mean fair
I've
is
heard
fair.
way
Like
worse.
Hey, and Demi
Yeah.
Moore was gorgeous in
Yeah.
G.I. Jane.
like
Yeah.
if only I could
It
look
was a
that
good
good
movie.
with a shaved head, I would do it. But
I look at that. Not good with a shaved head.
no,
Just saying.
don't even go there. Don't ruin it.
I do,
So-
and you all know it. You just don't want to admit it.
If you had that beard, maybe. I don't know. I haven't liked you since I could see your whole face.
That's fair. That's fair.
Anna for the win.
That's why I showed up. Mostly just so I could talk crap about you, but
You drive a Subaru. What do I care what you think?
That doesn't hurt. So you're gonna have to get some better.
Trust me, it hurts.
I mean, the ball's in your court. You need to come back with something a little stronger than.
She's the guest. You got to respect the guest.
Hey, do you need some help, Chris?
Bring it. Bring it, mustache.
Do you need some help?
Go ahead, man. Tag in.
No, I was just wondering. Oh, you do need help?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. I got you. It's not gonna do it right now. I'm gonna help you out later.
Some fighting words.
It's good. I think he's Googling.
I'm not
Probably.
I'm not googling.
What meme is
there's-
popular on TikTok right now
What?
that I can pass off as my own?
I can talk shit if I need to talk shit. You all know this.
I've died, so like I really don't give a shit. What you
She's
have
gonna
to
play
say.
that card
Yeah.
already.
Which
Yeah.
time? When you bought the Subaru or when you actually died?
Oh, that was when I died from happiness. That
okay.
was such a glorious day. I actually have a picture of me hugging my Subaru when I bought it.
It's got like
That's not
400,000
even a
miles on it. I
joke.
can't be too mad.
Hey,
about
at least
it.
now,
It's
at least
legit.
now you know if your battery ever dies, you have an easy jump start.
That's true. I mean, with that, like, I've actually,
You just gotta jog in place.
I wanted to figure this out. Like, nipple clamps, like, is that how that would even work?
I think so. Just positive, negative nipple rings.
Is that
just go straight to it.
okay?
But you
All
got to
right.
ground it, so you got to kind of go Prince Albertish a little bit, get the little butterfly. I know, it's way over your head.
Negative.
It's way over your
Abort.
head.
Abort.
Abort mission. All right.
If you get the vibrating one, you should charge your battery faster, just so you know.
Fucking stop.
See how uncomfortable he is now?
I'm not spending 2 hours fucking deleting shit like I had to last night.
What did you say? What did Chris say?
I
It
wouldn't
wasn't
hear.
Chris. It was Mr. Miranda in the back.
What did Mr. Moran say?
No.
Just 4 letters. That's all he had to say. It took a quarter of a second, but
Yeah, I
it
was
took
gonna say,
2 hours.
it was so just.
But it was right out
Did
there,
it
and
did
right
it
out
work?
front.
Did
Like,
it work
there
in the
was-
moment?
Well,
We'll tell you later.
Yeah, I'll tell you
All right.
later.
You don't
But
have to. You don't have to spend more time editing.
Yes. So, but yeah,
He's
it
going to
was.
debate on what to edit out of this one already.
It was so like it wasn't like you said it, like lowly or anything like that. I mean, it was full on volume. It you couldn't deny it. It
Damn,
was
okay.
obvious.
I still don't even remember saying it. That's the fucking
Yeah.
part.
It was so obvious because I was like, well, maybe you won't be able to tell. Maybe he just goes
Okay, so what-
past it
Under
so
the
fast.
breath.
What
and then
episode
it's like,
is this one?
oh.
This is number 68.
So he went 67 episodes. Or 66. Yeah, 66 before he messed up that bad. That's a
No,
pretty good run.
no,
No, you remember my first one?
His first one, he
His
made it
first
like
one.
7 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
No, I made it like 2.
Yeah.
Well, I was giving you some credit.
Yeah,
We
'cause
just
you
started
were like,
over on that one.
You
That
were
wasn't
like,
a big
tell me,
deal.
yeah, you had because you were like, tell me your story. I was like, hey, I'm James. Here's what I did, and now I work it. Blah. And I was like,
I was
oh,
wondering
fuck.
if that was the 4-letter word.
Yeah.
It's like Voldemort.
James Kelly did the same thing though.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was deep in. He was
Yeah,
like
it was
7 or
such a
8
good
minutes,
start.
and it was such a great story. And then he's like, and then I saw was hiring, and it was like,
You can't.
And that's the one we had
Go
the Mortal
there.
Kombat or something conversation to start.
yeah. Well, then
We'd struck.
Oh.
The opening conversation was awesome.
Daniel, that's the one with the Mortal Kombat thing. I
Was
think.
that one?
Yeah. Because I think you brought both of them back around and
Yeah. I snuck it back in.
almost recreated it, but not quite.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, we got to like 98 degrees. It's almost as good as In Sync, but it's not quite there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's better than Backstreet Boys.
I don't know.
I like the Backstreet Boys.
I was a
too.
Backstreet Boys kid.
I just, no.
98 Degrees was like my number 3 or 4. Like maybe not even 4.
Dude, if it wasn't Boys to Men, it was garbage.
Okay. I can respect you
NSYNC.
on that.
I'm not In Sync. I'm sorry.
Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys. Thank you.
Yeah. No.
Not in sync is what you meant to say.
There used to be a video of me
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
and several other people doing karaoke to
Yeah,
NSYNC.
NSYNC,
are
yep.
we just gonna leave out New Kids?
That's where I was. That's where I was
You
going,
know,
and she got me with the
well-
Backstreet Boys. I was going with New Kids on the
Because
Block.
I'm putting New
Yeah.
Kids ahead of
Yeah.
98 Degrees.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
New Kids are
Hands
better
down.
than any of those
Yeah.
bands.
See, I'm still going Marky Mark though.
He wasn't a boy band.
Doesn't
though.
matter. He still beats them all.
He could beat them all up,
Yeah,
except his brother probably.
I'm pretty sure he could take his brother.
So Anna,
What's up? I don't like what it's.
This is
I don't
already-
trust you. Yeah.
We're
What's
talking
up?
boy bands. He ruined the conversation.
Yeah.
oh,
Go ahead.
I just didn't know this is a boy band podcast. my fault. I'll just sit here quietly.
We're rebranding.
Yeah.
Remember, you wanted to do a music podcast.
Boom, here it is.
Yeah.
That we took shots at, and that got shut down.
Yeah.
Well, Anna's here and she likes it.
Again,
so that's what we're gonna do.
That is
Yeah.
not ever happening. Anyway, what was your question?
I forgot.
That's all
course
right.
you
Probably
did.
wasn't a good one anyway.
So Anna,
What's up?
no, I'm just
I've taught her so well in the 6 months I've had her.
stop bringing guests on that Nelson's broke.
Hey, you know what? I was probably broken a lot longer than I met him.
Yeah,
I just brought her out of the
Long
shell.
before.
the day you started working at our job.
Well, yeah, that and probably the day I knew I liked women. So
Oh,
we all have that in common. So at least to my knowledge.
What are you looking at me for?
Is there something you need to tell us, Chris?
When
I've
was
got the longest
when,
marriage here.
Was the hair on your face not the beard she was referring to?
when was that, by the way?
What, his beard?
No, when you realized you like women.
Oh, this is a great story. I was 4 years old. And I saw the movie Pocahontas for the first time. And I knew.
You're like, I hit that.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about Grandmother Willow. Sorry, I had to. Yeah, no, I was
I'm
4.
going to be up so late tonight.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with what I just said. Out of everything that we have said, that was probably the most PG thing that has been said. Or G-rated.
It probably was.
Yeah.
He's just gonna scrap it.
Was it one of those?
That was good. That was a good line, all right?
Well, like when you told your parents, were they like, we know?
So my dad was like, we know. My brother, we know. My sister, we know. My mom, what? My daughter? Oh yeah, no, she was not happy initially.
That Catholic school girl stuff.
Yeah, I think it was more of fear of the unknown for her daughter than anything. I don't think, because my mom didn't grow up Catholic. Like my dad's the one that grew up Catholic, and yeah, he's just like, Anna, I know everything, and I was like, hope not. So yeah, I think for my mom it was just not wanting the life that she was maybe picturing I was gonna have, or maybe for her.
Lesbians have it so great.
I came out when I was 13. This was almost 15 years ago.
If I'm your mom and you're 13 years old telling me you're a lesbian, I'm like, sweet, she's not pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah,
There you go.
know, and I don't know if it was, because marriage wasn't legal at the time. It's like, I mean, granted, it's like I have it way better than people of the past and even people today. Like I know how lucky I am, but I think for her it was just, I don't know. But it's like I asked her, I was like, Mom, how did you not know? Like I was a tomboy. I was basically my brother's like clone. I would wear all of his clothes. I would play football. I was like, I want to be the first girl in the NFL. I played all the video games. I was like, Mom, like, and I think she's like, I think I thought about it one day and was like, nah, whatever, and just forgot about it. So
I'm curious. You've told your story, but I'm curious as to your thought process throughout it.
through my lesbian story, or through my
No,
my pacemaker
your
story.
pacemaker story. Like
Okay.
I'm gonna go lesbian story. That's more interesting.
we know what she was. We know what she was
I
thinking
say,
about during her
I
lesbian
think
story.
you guys probably know the thought process
Probably
of
the
that
same stuff
story.
we were at 13
Yeah.
years old.
Yep. I just could hide it a lot better than you guys.
Doesn't sound like it if your dad knew.
She can't get boners.
Yeah. Seems like
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, she just left spots on chairs. So
Didn't you say you wanted controversy? Here you go.
Oh.
It was the nuns that hated her.
they knew.
It was funny because I came out in high school to everyone at my all-girls private Catholic high school, and
Oh, you were just loving life, weren't you?
yeah, life was pretty good. Life was pretty
she
good.
was in the killing fields.
Fishing with dynamite.
So, ironically, I was the only lesbian on my softball team, and I was pissed.
Lies.
I was pissed at the
Lies.
time.
Okay.
At the
Okay,
time.
Out, lesbian.
At the time. But
I find
but
that
it's
very
like,
hard to
what-
believe.
What is the point? I mean, but at the time, you know what I mean? It's like
The ratio went from like here to here. Real quick.
I mean, you figure in a school of 500 girls, there's got to be more than one, right?
300 was the
There's
in
still
high
more than
school.
one.
Still more than one.
You know, yeah. So it was actually funny. The one girl in my grade that I was friends with that didn't want to hug me because she was like, oh, you know, you're gay, is now married to a woman. So I find that it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So. Okay, so now we know the lesbian thought process. So what you want to know my thought process through the whole what?
We emotionally. So I'm going to bring it back emotionally.
How long do we have for that?
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage. Just can you play that song now? Can you just insert that into this video?
You know what? I need it like a drop board.
Yep.
I,
Emotional damage.
emotional damage.
Yeah, I think you really need to
I'm
bring
not gonna
that
lie.
in.
I do love all those TikToks with that guy.
So good, especially
I
when
have
it
no
comes
idea
in when
what
you
you're
don't
talking
know.
about.
I'll send it to you.
Oh,
Jeremy.
it's so
You
good.
gotta
Like
get TikTok, man.
Oh, that's the best one.
Turn to the dark side.
Rachel's
We're like,
got it.
oh my god! And then that guy comes on, and you're like, yes.
or like, you know, it's like that song. It's like when you close your eyes, emotional damage. You're like, oh, there we go. There it is.
I'll text Rachel and tell her to show it to you.
Yeah,
I got you.
it's good.
And you're gonna laugh, and you're like, "Oh, this is so great!" I'm gonna get
And then you're
TikTok.
gonna add it into the video, and that's gonna be
See, that's
Yeah.
that and like the memes where it's
No.
like, and your therapist is like, and what do you say when someone upsets you? And you're like, go fuck yourself. And your therapist is
They're
like,
like,
no.
That's it's pretty much sums up my emotional journey.
So, yeah.
Actually, you know what? I could, truthfully, I don't give a shit about yours. I'm actually more concerned about your wife's.
Oh yeah,
Because you kind of took her for a fucking ride. And I
Yeah.
don't mean,
Just
you know what I mean?
Stop that statement right there.
Yeah.
it wasn't the ride she would have picked. I can tell you that much. In the not even in that sense. But you know, I mean, it's like, you know, she has been like just I don't even know how to give her the credit that she deserves, because you know, with even before I got COVID, it was like, I remember distinctly, you know, we were sitting on the couch and, you know, we're watching her organization had these videos on people from New York on how to deal with like just all the changes that were coming. Cause my wife works in the health field, not as a medic anymore, but, you know, so there's still the same precautions, you know, sometimes that she has to take. And, you know, I just remember sitting there and like seeing what was happening in New York. And it was just like, how are we going to get through this? You know, if it's going to be as bad as it was there, you know, how are we going to deal with this? And there was already just this, you know, fear of the unknown. And so then it was like, oh, we got through it, you know, like, you know, we didn't get COVID, right, you know, in the thick of it. And then once I got COVID, and then because I gave her COVID. So that part was nice, is we got to go through it together. You know,
It's a bonding experience.
It really is, you know, and it's just like, you know, you just get to feel like shit together, and, you know, but then it's like nothing gets done, you know, you're both just miserable. But it was, you know, it was fun, and not being isolated was probably the best thing for both of us. But you know, I remember the day that I coded, it was like, I didn't tell her what happened because I drove there. I drove to the appointment. And so I called her and I was just like, hey, I need you to pick me up. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'll explain when you get here, but I need you to pick me up. And she's like, okay. So, you know, and of course the place that I was at when I had it, they're like, you're fine. You can go home. Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't even mention that part, did I?
No.
Oh yeah,
you
immediately
failed
after,
to-
they're like, here's a can of Coke and some Doritos, and you can call your wife. Actually, they're like, you know what?
That's the longest yard treatment. Can of Coke.
Yeah,
Can of
I
Coke.
didn't even get a
Can of Coke, I'll be
sandwich.
fine.
I didn't even
No
get
turkey sandwich?
I didn't even
Oh,
get
that's bullshit.
They gave me a blanket. They gave me the blanket. I was like, oh, sauce.
Was it the wool one?
No, it was a warm blanket.
The smallpox
though.
blankets, you didn't get one of those?
No, they were like, this girl's been through enough. Let's just give her a clean one. So they're like, yep, here's the little bag of Doritos and a can of Coke, and they're like, yeah, you can go ahead and drive home. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna call my wife. They're like, okay. So I call my wife, and you know, so I think they like walked me out, you know, like whatever. They're like, well, we'll walk with you to make sure you get to your car. And I was like,
Cost.
Not even a wheelchair.
Wow.
no, yeah.
They
Yeah.
really care.
Yeah.
You
I
should
mean,
have
above
just
and
accidentally
beyond.
crashed your car on the way home and sued. Fucking sued.
I should have I would have thought dying in their room would have been enough for them to be like, let's maybe check this girl out.
At the very least, you should have been sent to the hospital.
To the ER.
By ambulance.
Yes.
Quickly.
We run calls to doctors' offices
I
for people who are...
I was already, I wouldn't have had to go by ambulance because it would have been an elevator ride. And I will just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah. An elevator ride. Like,
Yeah.
I was already on the bed. Like, you don't even have to do anything. You just have to take me to that. You could just roll me down the hallway and go, hey, this girl needs help. And someone would have found me. Like, that would have been fine. I would have been okay with that. So my wife pulls up, the lady walks out with me. My wife pulls up and I get in the car and she's just like, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, so I died. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really know how else to explain it, and then it was just, and after that, I just feel so bad for her because I was consumed. I was absolutely consumed with getting all my data, like getting everything, every piece of every document of vitals or, EKG, anything, because I was like, something is wrong and like, they're not doing anything to help me. And and at the same time, we're also looking for a house. So it's like, lots
so
of...
it's a real relaxing time for you.
Yeah, oh.
It's not stressful at all.
No, and so I'm like, all I talk about is it was just like probably, I want to say weeks, but it's probably more like a couple months where it was just like I was consumed. Everything that I talked about, everything that I did was how can I figure out X, Y, and Z. And I just remember sitting on my bed, like flipping through EKGs and just like taking notes and like documenting like how much time occurred between each snapshot. Cause all I got were snapshots. It's not like when we go to pull data from our monitor, like if, we're looking at a code, you can see from the time that monitor was turned on to the time the monitor's turned off. So all I had of this was little snapshots. I had 30 pages of snapshots for like 8 minutes of data. And so I'm like going through trying to figure out how long my heart had stopped, because I'm like, I don't know. Am I going to drop dead in the next 5 minutes? I don't know. Because I took
Or if you lean up against the wall at the wrong angle?
Yeah. Because it's like they put me on a table and they leaned me up. That's it. Like that is what brought me down. That's what's so funny. It's almost funny.
And her enemy is angles.
Yeah, my enemy is tables at angles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, my wife is just, she was a total champ and just, even now it's like, so we ended up finding a house and buying a house, but I think we bought our house maybe like, it was like a week or two. I think it was like 2 weeks after that happened.
That's a risky financial move. Like, hope I get to enjoy this.
Yeah. Hey, honey, I'm going to sign this mortgage here. So good luck to you if something happens. So yeah, I was
enjoy my life insurance.
I was like, sure, let's get a house. It's no
how
skin
much?
off my back.
30 years? I'll write you a check.
I'll take it. I'll take it. So and then of course we're moving, and it's like I can't help carry boxes. I can't help do this. We hired a moving company.
Bonus.
It was like
That
part
sounds like
of
a
me
win
was
to me.
like,
Yeah.
oh, like
Greatest
darn,
excuse
hon, I'm
ever.
so sorry.
Honey, can you do the dishes? I died.
But of course, she's like, I get it, but she's like, hey, like you gotta pull your weight, and it's like I get it.
Wow,
I get
your
it.
wife's a hard ass.
No, she, it was.
She's
but
a
it's
medic.
Like, she's a medic. She's a hard worker. Like, that's how she's been her whole life.
Did
And
she just tell me she looked at you and been like, "Can you walk?"
yeah, that's yep, that is
All right,
it.
get your stuff. Come on.
Yeah, let's go.
Nope, only one bag. Come
Yep,
on.
no.
Man, what's outside?
Don't go back and sit down. Come on, answer the
No,
door.
we'll
get
get
out.
your phone. We'll get
Yeah.
your keys. Come on, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, that's but that's why I think we work so well, because I'm a little bit more now as a medic. I'm very much that way, but like that's kind of her as a person, which I need that. I need someone that's like, hey, like let's go. So yeah, she also had COVID, and so she didn't have it as she obviously didn't have the same.
She didn't die.
No, she didn't, thankfully. Or she's like, she did, but at a different time. No, I'm just kidding. She, no, but she had brain fog, and, she still does. And she's got shortness of breath, and, so it's still thing that just hangs over our head. And so I think that's been the biggest thing, is like you just have this thing looming over your head all the time, and you just want normalcy.
Yeah. Well, you want answers,
Yeah.
of, okay, I have this thing. How do I fix it?
And every time I got a piece of data that I was like, this is it. It was like, have you seen
It's national treasure right there, man.
yeah.
That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
It's
Or
another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, that's exactly
It's
what
the
it was.
curse of Oak Island. That's
I don't know what that is.
good
National
God.
treasure. That's what people know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Or,
5
like, have
people
you
watch
seen-
Oak Island?
Have you seen Manifest?
No.
Nobody in this room has seen
I've seen it. It's
Manifest.
pretty
You've
good.
seen Manifest. You know how Ben, he's like, this is it, and he takes
Yeah.
off his glasses. Like it's the same concept where it's like every clue I was like, this is what is gonna break the
Honey,
case.
I've got it.
Yep. And then it was like I'd take that little piece of gold and I'm like, this is it. And then they're like, no.
That's bronze.
Yeah. They're like, that's not even bronze. That's dirt.
Fool's gold.
That's dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go
Oh,
away.
honey.
Yeah. Oh, honey, no, you're cute. No. So yeah, and so then it's like this whole process. I mean, I know I've talked with Chris about it. It's like I don't trust anybody anymore. Like people that I used to trust, and at different organizations and places. It's just like I don't think that a lot of people that say they have your best interest in mind do anymore. No, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's probably good that, I'm a little bit more
Skeptical.
But at the same time, it's like, I can tell I'm the person I am now is a lot different than the person I was before COVID. And I think that's true for everybody, regardless of their experience. I mean, we've all experienced this pandemic, it's like it changes you. And
We just talked about this on the podcast last night. We had one of our friends who's a local police officer, and we just kind of talked about like the things they've seen, like literally the last 2 years, what it has done to us. Like you just can't ask people to do that.
no,
Like that's not the lifestyle that especially healthcare workers and first responders lived for the last 2 years is not a sustainable thing.
no.
Well, I think it's fundamentally changed the culture in our country.
Well, and that's
think about it. I mean, because, we had the lockdown and all that stuff. And then now all of a sudden you've got what it's done to our professions. But then you have other, like the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
People just said, fuck it, I'm not going back to work.
Yeah.
A lot of people start their own businesses too, and they found a way during when there was a shutdown, and then companies weren't able to function because of all the restrictions and they had to lay off staff. So people were like, oh, maybe I'm gonna start this business, and it's kind of taken off. So now we don't have the people that were like servers.
Yeah,
Perfect example.
So that probably speaks to a small percentage. But I mean, think about
I read
it.
some article on it, and there's been a lot of, because there was a loan the government gave out to start your own business. A lot of people took it, and it's taken off.
Well,
Small. I'm talking small business.
yeah.
Enough to support you
Yeah.
making jewelry. I mean,
Selling it on Etsy.
yeah,
Canning.
or Amazon picking it up.
I mean, have you looked at
Stuff like that.
Shopify's stocks?
Yeah.
The last 2 years. We also, like Chris and Anna, Jeremy and I talked about last night too. Many a times, like the three of us, Anna, have talked about like bosses versus leaders and the importance of servant leadership and stuff like that. And I made the point to Jeremy, and it was more of a question. I said, I do wonder, I wonder how effective in years to come we will be as supervisors, we will be as bosses, as leaders. We want to sit here and say, oh, well, we wouldn't do that, or oh, we wouldn't do this, or this is what we want.
Yeah.
But in another 5 to 10 years, at the rate we're kind of going, I'm I don't know that we're going to be as optimistic as we once were.
You make a good point, and I think that part of what you're saying is very true. And, it's very easy to sit here and say, oh, well, like, hey, like if we were in charge, or when we're in charge, like this is how things are going to run. And I wonder if it's, there's that side of it. And then there's like, hey, you can want to do that, but knowing how to do that is the other thing. And if you don't know how to do that, you're not going to. But if you can find a group of people that know how to do that and know how to inspire leadership and change, you can't, like, that's very possible. You know what I mean? But it's like those people could have said that same statement where it's like, well, if I just find the right people,
Well, also,
So-
whenever you're talking about something that's that big, like you're talking about running cities or departments or whatever, and you're talking about it on a large scale, money comes into it. Personnel comes into it.
Yes.
Resources. You
Politics
have to
comes into it.
Politics, yes.
And
yes.
honestly, my personal opinion of why things got as bad as they got was because politics were brought into it.
Yeah.
Instead of the fundamental, these people are sick, we need to figure out how to treat them, we need to figure out how to stop this, instead of everybody being on board and going, we're all on one lane and we're going the same direction.
Yeah.
It
became political.
It became political.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just the
Well,
fact of the matter.
You saw the good old American spirit come out too. You guys have to do this. The fuck we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because that's how the country was founded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's and it's like to that point, like you could have presented it as like, hey, like this is how you take care of each other. This is how you do your American duty and protect one another. And not in a statement of you have to. I'm not saying that I'm saying initially where
Then
it's
you
like,
had
hey,
people saying that, well, you have to protect me. Well, no, I don't. That's
Well-
the thing. That's where we have to figure out how to get people to buy in to do things, and for me it comes back to transparency.
yeah,
Nobody was transparent with anything.
no,
You had one side saying this, you had one side saying this. People were manipulating data to get the numbers they want, and you can't do that. You need to show it all, but you also have to do it in a way that people pay attention, because attention spans are not even milliseconds
Abysmal.
anymore.
Hey, Chris, you're using
quickly.
common sense, and I'm going to need you to fucking stop. Okay.
AKA he can't pay attention to
Yeah,
it anymore.
point proven. Yeah, the millennial speaks.
Yeah. But that comes back to my point of how politics were allowed to get involved in this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
I do think we need to protect each other as a society. You gotta
Yeah.
work together.
Yeah.
I'm
and
just
that's
to prove my point.
yeah. And it's like, I think, people in public service and EMS and, fire and pretty much in that realm, like we understand that because that's what we do. You know what I mean? Like there's very much that thought process of, hey, like I'm going to do what I can to protect the people that I care about, and it's like, that's not a hard like that's an easy thing to relate to, and it's whether it's, hey, like if someone is, if you're addressing the nation and it's like, hey, you got to protect your family. Well, by doing that, you're also protecting other people. Because if, us as first responders, like, hey, if we protect each other, well, we're also protecting other people. Like that's the byproduct of us protecting each other.
Right.
So it's like you can do that in a way where you're addressing people as individuals and not being like, hey, like we need to protect everybody.
Yeah, and follow your own rules. If you're
Yeah.
gonna place a
Yes.
mask mandate in, okay,
Then
you better
follow
follow
it.
your own shit,
Yeah.
and not let me catch you on social media
Yeah.
doing something you're not supposed to do, or the news,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as we saw plenty of times with big time politicians. Gotta get my hair done.
Got to go out to dinner with my friends.
Yeah, or have a dinner party and nobody wears a mask,
Yeah.
or make me wear a mask walking 5 feet in a restaurant, sit down and I can take it off.
Yeah.
Because COVID only hangs out up here.
And if that's the case, I'm short enough to where it's not going to affect me anyway, so I shouldn't wear a goddamn mask anywhere.
It's like, is it?
Yeah,
is
I
it
got the
kind-
short joke in.
Is it?
Suck it.
Is it like? Is it like smoke, where like the closer to the ground you are, like
the safer you are.
you are?
Absolutely.
All right.
The
All
COVID,
right.
the COVID's banking down.
Obviously, that's not because I'm the tallest person in the room and I'm the only one that didn't get it. So it must hang
So
low
it is
to
not
the
a
ground.
height. Yeah, it's not a height thing.
So it's only from 5'8" to 6 foot. That's where you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I must
Yep.
have jumped. All right, I sat in a tall chair. That's what I probably sat in a tall chair.
You had
That's
your
what got
booster
me.
seat?
I
Yeah.
did. I had the little seatbelt on it too.
So you wouldn't fall out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a fall from my height when I sit at the high top table. I'm short. I know it. I don't care.
Nothing you can do about it now.
No.
No.
Hey, maybe you could have them add a few extra inches when they go into.
That's
do
what
your
I was
pit.
hoping was going to happen. Like have like
They
a
could
little,
do a little.
have a little limp for a little bit till I get the other one fixed. Didn't happen.
No.
Bad
Wow.
doctors.
Yeah. Well, and yes, I don't want to slam doctors, but
But
Well,
I will if I
they-
have to.
yeah.
You know, I think there are some good doctors, but what we saw also was the silencing of one side and not the other. So when science comes out, even though you say, "Oh, it's a science fact," is it yet? It's been tested once. or been
Yeah.
tested twice.
Yes.
Well,
You got to
that's-
test it
there
multiple
has to
times.
be there has to be longevity.
And-
You have to be able to repeat that process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
multiple times. And the data could be skewed. And
Well, it's just like the data that, like red meat is bad for you. But they did like a study with like 20 people or like some really tiny number once.
We fed red meat to 5 400-pound people, and they all died.
and they died. Don't eat the red meat, It's like
eggs are bad.
Yeah.
Eggs are good.
Yeah.
Milk's
Yeah.
bad. Milk's good.
Coffee's
Potatoes are bad.
I think-
Coffee is
Yeah,
bad.
coffee.
Coffee is good.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
The confirmation bias.
I think
Yeah.
for me, one of the biggest things, and this just happened, I think, within the past month, was when the data for the Pfizer vaccine had to go through a court to come out, and they were pushing for it to be suppressed for 75 years.
Yeah.
And I was
What?
just like,
They wanted the data
they wanted the trial data from the trials for the vaccine
to be suppressed.
for 75 years.
That's comforting.
And that's when I was like, something like, and I was just like,
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's my whole issue with all of that. Whenever they came out with the vaccine and the government goes, we're indemnifying ourselves. You can't sue us. Oh, we're also going to indemnify all of these companies that are making the vaccine because it's an emergency. So if you die, you can't sue them.
Yeah.
tough titties.
Yeah. Those damn tough
I'm
titties.
sorry. No.
Yeah.
Like I said, for me, it was when they, like, I did all the right things. I mean, a lot of us have done all the right things, but then they're like,
Well,
when
see,
it
that, I
literally-
think that right there is part of the issue.
when a federal judge had to basically be like,
Explain.
no, it's coming out now. I was just like, 75? No.
So when you say things like, "Well, I've done the right thing," that divides, and that might be the right thing for you if you choose to get it or you choose not
Fair.
to.
Fair.
That
That's-
doesn't
yeah.
mean somebody
Yeah.
else is wrong.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well,
Jeremy and I argue basketball all the time, and we both make valid points because we both watched the game for years. He played at a higher level, of course. I didn't make the high school team. I'm short.
higher
Hey.
level because he's taller.
you know what?
I'm short.
You know who else was short? Allen Iverson, and he did just
Muggsy
fine.
Bogues was short,
Yeah.
Just fine.
and I know that's way before your time.
It's okay. I know who you're talking about.
But watching the game for as long as we both have, we argue constantly about it,
Yeah.
and calls and plays,
Yeah.
and what's a foul, what's not a foul, and what the rule book says.
Yeah.
He's not right, but he's not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not right, but
Well,
I'm
and
not
it's like
wrong. It's
there's-
just how we see it.
There's no
Yeah.
rule book for this situation. There's
No, we're
there's
making that up
things.
as we go.
Yeah. I mean, you can look back at like the Spanish flu. You know what I mean? Like
When we had a third of the population of the world, though, so things are different.
true. And things
Cities
things
aren't
were
as dense.
things were different, but there were a lot of similarities with as far as the very beginning of the pandemic and how it spread and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, when
But-
you get a new virus, it's going to spread fast.
Yeah.
Worldwide, because your immune system's not there. We don't know how it's going to react. We don't know what's going to work as far
Yeah.
as medications go or how to stop it right away.
That and the Spanish flu killed it killed so many people, like young people. You know what I mean? So
did.
yeah. So but
It was
it's
also dirtier back then too.
that's true.
Sanitation. I mean,
Sanitation-
all these are factors that people
Yeah.
don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
You got to look at the picture as a whole.
You know that
It was still bad. Don't get me wrong, and this is bad too, or it was, and still kind of is, because it still affects people.
Yeah.
But we're comparing apples and oranges.
You know that scene
We'll-
in
we'll talk about
The
that too.
Hangover where Stu jumps in the back of the car? He's like, "What the fuck is going on?" That's how it felt like working in healthcare through this pandemic.
So I'm glad you said that. I want to ask you guys a question because I will say it was a bit of a treat to not have to, like, once I got it, like, I was tapped out. It was like, all right, I'm tapping out. Someone's going to be like, you guys are still in the ring. You guys are still fighting that fight. I want to know what it was like for you guys because I haven't been back on the ambulance since. So it's like, how was it for you guys going to work, doing the work every single day?
When did you leave? When did you bow out?
November 2020.
Okay,
Bless
so you didn't get to experience last summer then.
No, I mean I've heard, and it's like obviously you hear the
It was-
the stuff, but it's like
It was bad. We were so short, like just from a staffing perspective of, people getting it, being put off work, and then, and then when
the
you're
typical
off,
things that happen over the summer where it's like, hey, like there's something big going on, and like or whatever,
Yeah.
people take vacation.
It was
well, there wasn't too much of that, but, it was, to put it mildly, it was a shit show. I mean, call volumes, and he's addressed this, after, what'd you say, Memorial Day weekend?
Well, that was
Labor Day.
2020.
Yeah. So the call volume started to...
You remember
I was
March,
working.
Yeah.
You remember March through May of 2020.
Yes.
Nobody called.
Yes.
If they called for a toe pain, you would just say, hey, we can take you to the hospital, but you could die. And they'd be
Yeah.
like, no, I'm good, fam.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then you remember Memorial Day weekend when the riots on the plaza.
Yes.
And then that whole summer, it just exploded.
It exploded. Everything exploded because you had so many things crossing.
Imagine that with less people. That's how it's been. The call volume has not slowed down.
Yeah. But our staffing has dropped. Just, yeah.
We were,
You got so many people off with COVID.
Yeah.
And I think that's nationwide.
Oh, it is. It's not
Yeah.
exclusive to here.
No, and
I mean-
also, I'd even venture to say worldwide.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you have hospitals paying hundreds of dollars an hour to get people to come in and work.
Yeah.
well, and that,
You know what I mean?
that was never a money thing to pay their staff.
Yeah.
well,
It's like, oh, you can pay
Yeah.
now,
You
but
pay the person sitting next to me is making $150 an hour, and I'm making 20.
yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
like we were
That's
screwed. I
problem.
remember talking to one of our second in charge chiefs about it because we were just like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you could do what hospitals do. He's like, what's that? I said,
Give us more money.
give us more money. He's like, well, you just got to raise. I'm like, no.
No.
Give us the holy shit, we're fucked money.
Yeah.
Pull that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we're on a global level of a pandemic, and I get it. Like, there's not a lot of people, but like, you have to take care of the people that show up.
You like,
You have to take care of those people.
Here's the deal. I'm going to make the same point again since you didn't get to hear it last time. So the difference between the public sector and the private sector, which hospitals are private sector, they are for profit. They make money.
But not all hospitals are for profit. Like, if
Yeah,
they're like
no.
Most
county
of
hospitals, teaching hospitals.
right.
I would say, there's teaching hospitals that were shelling up the money.
Yeah.
That's my only point. But please continue.
But so for a municipality
Yes.
to pay what would be equal to what those hospitals were paying for those nurses, if they tried to pay that for a fire department of, let's say, 1,500 people, it's much different. The money is just not there.
But it's funny because then it's like you have the argument of people making how much money on overtime every year.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I mean?
it's still
And, like,
cheaper. It's
Granted,
cheaper
I
to
don't know
pay
enough
people-
about that, but it's like,
It's
but that's my
cheaper to pay people overtime than
Than
to
it
pay
is.
for another person, because you add that person's salary plus their health care plus the training.
Plus the retirement. Plus
Yeah.
It's just cheaper to pay the overtime.
yeah.
It doesn't matter that
it's
they
just
run
so
you into the
interesting.
fucking dirt and burn
Yeah.
you out.
You know
So
what?
it's like they're gonna end up paying that money anyway because
Yeah.
you know they're burning. Yeah, like people are just
I'm
It's not
glad.
sustainable.
I'm glad you weren't working last summer.
that
We-
makes two of us.
We lost a lot of medics.
Yeah.
Every all departments did. 20 to 30 calls a day on your core ambulances. It was weird. You would go from like somebody in respiratory failure with COVID to somebody that was shot
Yeah.
to somebody that had a headache.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
Or that's like, hey, like I want to get tested.
yeah, can I get a
And
COVID
you're like-
test? And you got to the point like you didn't mean to, but it was kind of like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, hey, we need, and what was frustrating is then like management would come out and be like, hey, we're still professionals, be nice, and then you're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
Fuck you and fuck you.
but it did build camaraderie.
Yeah.
Which I think you'll kind of notice because there's a lot of us that were just like, hey, fuck everybody, we're in this on our own.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, and it's you know, it's like this is something that history will look back on, just like the Spanish flu. It's like, hey, it's like, you know, this is something that we all went through together and we survived. Because it's like when we came into this, like nobody knew what it was going to be, and it's like
2 weeks to flatten the curve.
you know what I mean? And so it's like there, you know, and I think that's what's important is like if we can come out of this with like some sense of camaraderie, you know, whether it's the, you know, people that were in the field or whatever, it's like there has to be something that comes out of this that we can carry
There's
on.
definitely going to be lessons. It's going to take us a while to learn those lessons and figure out what they were.
Yeah.
And how to
apply them.
apply it and how to make going into the future better.
I think the biggest one was treat your employees well.
Yeah. Or it's like, hey, like let's have enough PPE maybe like if something goes down. Granted, this was like a total, you know, maybe not even out of left field, because it's like there were people months before saying, hey, like it's coming, but it's like,
That's what
I'll probably keep wearing a mask on a call just because I start smelling your shitty house.
I don't know. I think it's funny when you look back at how many times you like didn't wear a mask on calls before, that you're like, oh, it's fine. You got someone with like, pneumonia or the flu, whatever, where you're like, they're just hacking along, and you're just like, yeah, whatever. You're just sitting behind them, just,
They cough in your face, and
they're like, oh, it's another one today, yeah, and you just go about your day.
Cover your mouth.
Yeah, and now it's like,
Hopefully hygiene gets better.
I hope so too.
Take a shower.
Yeah. Or like I had a patient that he was riding one of those bird scooters, and he like face planted into the curb, and he didn't mean to. We were moving him over to the hospital bed from the stretcher, and he turns and he just coughs right in my face. Like his face is just covered in blood, so I get blood in my eyes and everything like that. And this nurse is like, "You weren't wearing your safety glasses?" And I'm like, I'm sorry, when was the last time you wore your safety glasses? Like,
what are safety glasses?
Yeah. I'm not welding. Like,
Bitch, please.
I had a pair, and I wore them on a call, and then I never saw them again.
And so then to go from that, to like, like, I remember the first time I put the Tyvek suit on, for like our first possible COVID, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And then
it was insta sweat.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was like,
and the rest of your crew is just staring at you as you walk down to the dark tunnel, which is the front door of a house.
Yep.
They all give you the thumbs up.
Like, good luck. No.
We're here if you need anything.
Thankfully, this person, well, not thankfully, but they were unconscious. So I was like, guess what, guys? We're going in together.
Yeah.
It was a bonding experience.
I had a patient that laid their motorcycle over, no helmet, nothing, and essentially, like, road rash the whole side of their face off. And I brought them into the hospital, and they're like, "Where's their mask?" I said, "Where's their fucking face?"
You're like, he doesn't have a face right now. I think that's the least of his concern.
The nurse just like
I
looked
was
at me
bagging
like,
a patient.
Yeah.
They need a mask. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm like, they need a mask. Hey, can you put a mask? Oh, they're unconscious, and I'm breathing for them.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
That's like
My
certain
patience was short with people too.
Yeah, the
For
certain
stupid
hospital
things like that.
Yeah.
certain hospital on that side of the state line that's like, I'm bringing you cardiac arrest. Copy. What's their GCS? I'm not answering you.
Yeah. It's like, go
Not
back to
answering.
school and you tell me.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
Once I get my report on a trauma, I drop the radio. That's the end of it.
Yeah. Or like I had a patient.
Medic. That's all I hear. I'm like, hey, you want to answer? I'm like, does it look like I want to answer, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told them what they needed to
Good,
know.
fair point. Okay,
Yeah.
keep working.
I gave you my report. If you want to listen, that's up to you. Or I had
You're asking me questions I already answered.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have paid attention.
Yep. Oh yeah. Or I had that. I was telling you about that patient I had. It was actually the same patient, my first COVID patient, and they were getting ready to intubate in the little COVID room, and of course nobody's ready. Like none of the staff is ready. They're still trying to get like gloves on, like they've never put gloves on before. And I'm got my the whole suit on, and this nurse is on the outside like, you need a face mask, and I'm like a face shield because they're intubating, and I'm like, why don't you either one get in here and do your job, or two get me one because I'm helping you out. Like, I've been here for 35 minutes after already being on this call with this patient for an hour. Like,
I think I'm past the face shield part.
yeah, I think we're pretty much established that if I'm getting it from this lady, I'm getting it. Like, and I have like 2 masks on, my safety glasses on, I got the little hood on. I'm like, you don't even know it's me. Like, they're like, who's that weird lady in the balloon suit? Like, does she even work here? So it's like, but
Somebody saw a cockroach on 3. That's a Ghostbusters reference, by the way.
I know. I was just thinking about the cockroach I saw earlier this week.
An hour and 22 minutes before the first movie reference.
No, we had some way before.
Yeah.
From the first good movie reference.
I did watch the
I'll
new
rephrase.
Ghostbusters, by the way.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Dynamite.
Wait, the new, not the girl one, the new one.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
It was dynamite too. Chris Hemsworth
Dynamite?
dancing? Come on.
It was the other kind of dynamite.
Oh.
This
the-
one was
But the new one,
amazing.
the new one's good.
Yes.
Sweet.
That's good news.
I'm not going to give you any spoilers.
Okay.
I do like Paul Rudd.
But it was visible the entire time.
All right, shut up. I'm watching it tonight.
Now I gotta watch it tonight.
I loved it, man. I watched it a few times.
Okay. Congratulations. Good job.
We're so proud of you.
Yay!
We're
Round
so
of applause.
proud of
Round
you.
of
We're
applause.
so proud.
Emotional damage.
For you guys, not me. I love the movie. I'm gonna watch it again.
So speaking of that, I kind of want to bring it back to that. How did you kind of?
That was a really nice turnaround.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
How
Bring
did you,
it around.
Town. Bring it
It's-
there. Those are the good quotes. Thank you.
Is he gonna
See-
spin you right round?
You don't even know. You don't even know.
You
what
should
the
hear her
quote
phone.
was.
Did we just make a movie reference and an 80s song reference in like the same 2 sentences?
Yeah.
Yep.
Not,
Flowed right into it.
not
Yep.
bad,
And they're
pals.
both from the 80s.
Not
Yep.
bad.
Yep.
That's I applaud you. I applaud both of you.
Thank
All
you.
three of you. Good job.
Jim, when were you born?
90.
1994.
Really?
No, I was born in 90.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, there's no way.
So anyway, what brings me to my question was
Yes.
I wanted to bring it back to was how did you eventually, because you seem like you're pretty well adjusted, like
Now, yes.
accepting now. So what was how did you get to that spot? What did you do?
Honestly, it was getting the pacemaker. That was like my number one, because it was like, okay, now I know that if I do get close to dying, I probably won't or shouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was probably my biggest thing. And honestly, it's just like I've talked about it so much just because it's like my life has just been doctor's appointments. You know, work conditioning and, seeing a cardiologist and seeing a doctor, just, it's like my week is just always appointments. And so I've got to talk about it a lot, which has, I think, helped me process it a lot. And I have a wonderful therapist who is just, I've been with him since even before COVID. And, so having just an incredible support system and people that just understand, I was kind of worried because, my mom has a long-term medical condition where a lot of the things that she experiences are not very visible, or they're not very you can't collect the data, you know what I mean? And so I've seen the life that she lives, and people just, they get it for a while and then they just kind of stop, they're just like, okay,
Yeah.
and so for this, it wasn't a relief, but it was like, okay, like I know I'm not crazy. Like I have a pacemaker. I'm 30 years old and I am getting a pacemaker, and so that was a kind of a big thing for me to stand on and just be like, you know what, like, it's not in my head. Because for the longest time, it just felt like it was in my head because no one could tell me what was wrong. No one could quantify any data for me. And now it's like, I do have that. And I have really, as terrible of providers I've had ones that are just as amazing. And that support system it's funny, like I see a speech pathologist for my breathing problems, and I call her my second therapist because she has, helped me address so many things probably beyond her scope. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's having those providers that go the extra mile, and it's like I've been seeing a lot of these providers for over a year, so it's like you just kind of, it's kind of like your own little weird fucked up family, and it's like walking into work conditioning, everybody knows who you are,
Yeah.
because you've been working
It's
with
like-
them for so long.
There's a place like that where everyone knows your name. 80s references are going to continue.
They, you know what? I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I really do. I thank you for bringing that one to the table.
You're welcome.
Is that 80s?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, was it
Yes.
before?
Are you
Or is it?
kidding me?
Yeah.
No, it was 80s.
80s.
It started in the 80s.
Early 80s?
Yeah, early 80s, but it was
Early
80s.
It wasn't late. Okay.
It was like, what,
Okay.
84? I think when it started.
I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Well, use your Google machine.
I got it. I got IMDb on my phone. 1982.
All right.
Okay.
Early 80s.
I was thinking
It's, yeah.
like
I
Well,
didn't.
you got to remember, you got some bleed over from the 70s into the early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fair.
I still had short shorts and knee-high socks on in the 80s.
Yes.
I got pictures.
And tank tops.
Can you bring them?
No. Actually, I don't have them. My mom has them.
Oh, I'm
No.
gonna be calling your mom.
No.
I kind of want to see those pictures too.
I know. I say you can't talk about it and then not deliver.
Sound like retirement
We'll
party pictures.
post
That's
them
what
to
that
the
sounds like.
Facebook page.
Yes.
Yes. Throwback Thursdays when James gets out of Facebook jail.
Yeah, when I get
Oh, are you in Facebook jail?
for the dumbest shit that I've
What
ever
did you
seen.
do?
It was political.
Oh.
It wasn't. No.
What did you do?
Well,
Can you talk about
this?
it?
Well, this was my third strike.
Oh.
I'll tell you. Here's
Ouch.
how dumb it is. Okay, I shared a picture of a shark caught in a power line from a hurricane, and then
What?
apparently it was a false image. So I was warned for sharing a false.
So
image.
you shared a picture from Sharknado.
Yeah.
And then they said, this is false imaging.
Well, it was like a baby shark.
Fact checkers.
It was a baby
They're like,
shark.
this is going to mislead the American public.
So
and
the
you need to be.
yeah.
Chances are it would because I've seen the American.
Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah.
The second one was
Sorry, guys.
When-
It's just a joke. Just
when
relax.
our historical society
Doing a
was
bitch
doing
laugh.
our whiskey raffle.
Yeah.
So our historical society was doing our whiskey raffle, so I made a post like, "Hey, it's time for the whiskey raffle again. Come on down. Let me know if you want to buy a ticket." I was then banned for sales of unauthorized substances, and I was like, "Wow."
Out.
Who
Alcohol
did
is
you
unauthorized now?
Who did you piss off?
And then on this most recent one, this chick was taking these screenshots of all the messages from guys she gets, like, "Hey cutie, what's up?" Like, "Hey girl, want to get a drink sometime?" And to tell them to fuck off, she'll just send them like a Facebook pay request. So she'll be like $50 for drink with cutie or something like that. Like just fucking with them, right? It's funny, and there's like literally 50 pictures of her doing it. And so I shared it because it was funny.
Yeah.
And the post is still up, and other people are sharing it.
But you got in trouble for it.
But I got in trouble for it.
Yeah. That.
Which brings us to, Joey made a point the other day, which I was going to talk about with you guys. He said that our Facebook page, he wasn't getting notifications from whenever we were posting stuff, and whenever he searched it, he couldn't find it. And then he could. So it's like a shadow ban type thing. Now that was like 2-3 weeks ago, so that was before all of that happened.
We must have said something conservative.
Apparently, spreading that disinformation called logic.
Don't question anything.
Yeah,
Shut up.
Just
Trust
take
everybody.
It,
Trust
take
everybody.
it as it is.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
ask no questions.
exactly.
Let's hide it for 70.
Get your 17th booster.
These are
Let's
not the
hide it for
droids you're looking
75
for.
years. Yeah.
I shit when I read that article, and I was just like,
Or were you
What?
shitting when you read it already?
Both. What article are we talking about? I was reading a message from my son.
it was an AP article, and it was basically some federal judge overruled some basically it was coming out, and Pfizer was suing to block it, and they wanted it not released for 75 years, and some federal judge was like, no, it's coming out.
You can't just hide your data.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hide that. Don't hide that.
Yeah.
You can't make an informed decision if you have,
No information.
yeah, or 10% of it.
Yeah.
Again,
Well.
goes back to my transparency thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they give you the information they want you to know and not the
Mm-hmm.
full story where it's like, hey, I'm an adult. I can make this decision on my own. You just tell me the data and
Yeah.
I'll
Well, that's the thing.
I'll decide what I
You
want to
see
do.
people in charge and they think that, and I know I made the joke, but they
that
think
the American public is.
they think they're stupid, and
Yeah.
honestly, they're not. Now, people just have different beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem. That's not an issue. It's what makes the country amazing. But you got to release all the information. That way we can read it and then make a
Yes.
decision.
Well, and that's whenever these so-called news organizations need to be held accountable for
Yes.
putting their bias and
Hey,
slant.
are you
on
trying
the
to get
articles.
us fucking kicked off of YouTube right now? Because this is how you get us kicked off YouTube.
I don't think we're big enough to be canceled. So I
Yet.
think we're fine. In 5 years, whenever it's the hashtag whatever movement and they go back and dig up this old episode and that we said something controversial,
Oh, yeah.
then, yeah, and then we'll apologize and say we didn't know.
It'll be this episode.
It'll
Yeah.
be this
Oh, yeah,
episode.
in the
It's,
I'm not-
the,
I'm
it's
not
always the
apologizing.
lesbian.
In the
It's
first-
always the lesbian.
first-
It comes back to lesbian says something in microphone and everyone
Yeah.
freaks out.
In the first 30 seconds of this episode, we were talking about guns and lesbians.
Hey, that's just a good time.
And I was just
that's-
like-
Did we talk about guns?
Yeah. I started it when we were talking about the Call of Duty guns.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. I was
yeah.
like,
Those
we
are fake
didn't
guns. We can talk about real guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was literally like,
So,
I
but
couldn't have
anyway,
picked a worse time.
back
This
to me
episode's
trying to
been
get us
canceled.
banned.
She grew up in Nebraska. You know she shot guns.
I did trap shooting in high school.
There you go.
They
Yeah.
threw up pieces of corn. Thank you,
That,
thank you,
that
thank you.
was Yep. That was
And that's where corn
solid.
husking comes from.
Yep. Actually, did you guys know? Does anyone? You can't answer this. I think you know. Do you know what the Cornhuskers' original name was prior to being Cornhuskers?
Corn shuckers?
The Bug Eaters.
Okay.
Why?
Why? That's a good.
I thought Cornhuskers was
question.
like, I was like, oh, not my favorite. Then someone's like,
But that one makes sense.
the Cornhusking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a
just not my.
state-
It's
state
just.
full of
It's
corn.
not intimidating. It's
And I
like,
love corn.
Yeah, corn is great.
Go Nebraska.
Go corn. I think our mascot should just be corn. It should just be like
It is corn.
no, like
That's what the
not
mascot is.
not
It's a guy in a corn outfit.
Not Herbie Husker. It should just be it should just
be
be
the ear
the
of
Nebraska corn. Like,
His name's got to start with an H.
But
Herbie Husker.
oh my god,
Herbie
Does he
corn.
go around going beep beep?
No, they apparently
That's a
you want to
70s
get
reference. That's a 70s
controversial.
reference.
So apparently they had to change the Herbie Husker logo because he's doing this, and now you cannot do that because it is affiliated.
Oh, making the
with,
OK symbol.
Yes, so they had to change it.
Stop the fucking planet. Let me off.
Yeah.
I'm done. Let me
So,
off.
but that brings me back to my point about these media companies. They need to be held accountable for spreading misinformation because they all do it. Whether it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, whatever, they all have their agenda and personal
Yeah.
bias and slant of
Yeah.
the information that they want to put out that pushes their narrative. And for the average American person, you know, you have to sift through so much to find out what's the truth, and to the point where you just like,
I just don't care
fucking,
anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't care.
Well, it's not
I
even,
want to live my life.
Yeah.
It's not even the media either. I mean, that's a huge part of it. But then you look at the federal Congress
Oh my
all
god.
as a whole.
Oh
Hey,
my
here's
God.
a 1,200 page bill. We vote tomorrow at 8 a.m. and here it is midnight.
Yep.
Or 11 p.m. the night before. Really? You can't read it. You can't go through it. And they put so much shit in there.
Well,
but
the way
then
it's
they highlight
written.
this little part that they want to pass.
Yep.
And like, well, these people hate whatever. Insert whatever you want.
They hate orphans.
But, you know, at the bottom of that bill was $100 billion for my next car.
Yep.
Shit like that. I know it's an exaggeration, but
You're close. I mean, you're pretty close on that though.
It's called pork barrel spending.
yeah.
It's what they do to
And
all
that's
the
okay.
bills in Congress.
Well, what gets me is like, you know, you'll have something that gets passed through, you know, one side of the house. It's not fully been, you know, and someone will tweet, oh, like, you know, this state passes bill that says blah 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 blah, you know, and everyone gets in a huffy puff, and then you read it and it's like, no, they didn't. It's like it was passed on one side, but it's not passed into law, you know, and so it's like I get like
She's talking about Florida.
No, actually, I was not. I was talking about Missouri. But so I do want to get your guys' opinion on that. So mostly in the sense of I don't care that it's about LGBT. My problem is how is that not infringing upon your freedom of speech?
So
They could have said.
So
they
what
could have
is
said.
what's the bill?
So the
I'm
bill,
not-
I haven't actually read the bill. So
So-
but have you read the bill?
Parts of it. So the part that everybody's mad about is they're saying that you can't teach about people
Teachers-
being gay, essentially.
Teachers
But
can't
that's-
discuss LGBTQ.
and their own sexuality
yes.
and students, which it's not just about being gay; it's straight too.
Wait,
Yeah,
is this
exactly.
Is
Everybody.
this one
So
of
it
those
comes
fucking
everybody.
anti-grooming ones?
No, it's
no,
saying
it's
it's saying you can't sit down with kids from like kindergarten
To
to
third
third or fourth
grade?
grade, and you can't teach them about people's sexuality or your own. It doesn't matter what your sexuality is.
Yeah.
And personally, no offense to teachers, it's none of your fucking business. That's a home discussion for parents. It's not your job to teach my kids about somebody's sexuality. That's my job as a parent, and when I'm ready to, just like the sex talk. We all had it when we were kids. Yeah, we had health class, but before health class started, letters got sent to moms and dads and said, hey, this is what we're getting ready to teach. You might want to give your kids a heads up and so they don't have to talk.
Yeah.
You know the funny thing about
That's where you started.
in my school, we did it was a 5th grade. They do like the videos.
Benzinger? Is that what you guys called it?
No, I don't remember, but it was like they make you watch it. They divide up the guys and the girls.
Yep.
And my class only had 55 people in it, and there was one girl that her parents were like, she will not be watching that. Pregnant her senior year of high school.
Oh, she should have watched it.
It's just like, this is great.
Just full circle.
I mean, I think health class is important. It's definitely important to teach things
Yeah.
in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I
it's
don't-
got to be taught the right way.
I don't know, because it just wasn't. It just straight up
With
wasn't
no
in my
bias.
curriculum.
Well,
I'm
so here's
conflicted about
the
this.
question though. It's like, what if the topic was about bananas? Like, let's just pick something that's not LGBT related. Does it concern you that they're saying now? Religion is a different thing because of the whole, hey, if it's public
State
school,
versus-
yeah. But it's like, what makes them think they can, if it's not something that is outwardly like, hey, we're going to talk about murder, And even then, it's like, I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's like, how do they draw that line? Because it's like, okay, you start with kindergarten through 3rd grade. Okay, what's going to stop them from being, hey, 4th through 8th grade, high school, whatever, whatever the thing is. It's like, how is that not an infringement upon?
So here's my question. Is this really a problem? Do we have teachers teaching sexuality to 3rd graders?
I don't know.
That was
I
my
think
thing.
it's
It
a
was just
minority.
never in my
like
curriculum.
A small
Yeah,
percentage.
nor was it in mine.
And also too, like,
I mean-
is there even a point to teach it before puberty?
Well, no, it's like it's like, is the bill about keeping them from teaching it, or is it like, hey, if it happens to come up in a discussion, like let's say you're talking about something in
History.
history, yeah,
history. For fuck's sake.
and it's
There's
like,
no
and it
history
comes
class.
up.
There's no history class a 3rd grader should have that sexuality should come up in.
Well,
You're learning basic.
but it's like,
basic
but
history.
like you said, being straight is still sexuality. So
Yeah.
what's
Well,
to stop
but-
a child from being like, oh, well, like I have a sister or a cousin who is gay or whatever?
Well,
Like,
then
you know what I
can't
mean?
control what the kid says, but you gotta
Guide it.
steer around it.
yeah,
You gotta avoid that because and that's the way the bill's written. But you don't want to push whatever. So I'm trying to be careful.
No, you're
So-
good, you're good.
So you don't want to have a teacher who's gay or non-binary or whatever they identify as pushing that belief on kids.
or straight. You can include being straight.
I'm
in there.
getting there.
Yeah.
That was the other side because that's been the norm for so long, and it's
Yeah.
changing now when we're in uncharted waters.
Yeah.
So just like a gay couple or whatever they identify as, doesn't want a straight narrative being pushed on their kids either.
Mm-hmm.
Not one's right, not one's wrong. So here's how we defeat it: is you don't fucking talk about that with little kids who are
But see,
impressionable, and
here's-
let them be fucking kids.
Here's the big one though that glares for me that I think you need to address. How do you tell 1st grade Timmy not to make fun of 1st grade Johnny because he has 2 dads? How do you say that's normal
If you can't talk about
if
it.
you can't talk about it?
How about
Yes.
this? How about 1st grade Johnny doesn't make fun of 1st grade Timmy? Period.
But that'd be great if kids weren't
If
little fucking assholes.
Okay, but that goes back to the whole bullying thing. Because now you're making fun of him, making him feel bad for whatever reason, and everything's anti-bullying, and the schools don't fucking do anything about it.
How do you preach?
They say they
How do
do,
you preach
but they don't do
acceptance-
shit.
How do you preach acceptance without teaching understanding?
and,
And
or
that's-
teaching what's normal.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
that's where
I
like
see what you're
do I
So
think
what's normal?
do I think we need to
What's normal?
Normal can so now
See?
now normal is so that and that's
So
the thing
let's-
is like
How about accept everybody for who they are? and quit
so
being
that's
a
the
fucking
same
dick.
thing. That's the same thing. So it's like,
period.
hey,
Here's my perspective, or the thing that I'm kind of struggling with right now. This seems like something that is government overreach.
yes.
Like
That's
it's something that shouldn't be legislated.
where it's like, yeah, it's like, was it that big of a problem that you had just slews of teachers speaking about, like, did the topic come up that much that they felt the need that instead of just issuing a memo or like some kind of, hey, like we're going to have a little chit chat, it's like they went as far as to put into legislation that it is a law that you cannot talk about it in a classroom in those parameters.
Yeah.
That's what is like,
It,
really?
And it seems like there's more and more laws like that that are getting pushed to the forefront.
Yes.
And
Well, they're going to enforce
passed.
the laws anyway. We don't enforce the ones we have now.
Well, but that's my point. It's like, okay, if we accept this one, then we're going to accept the next one and the next one, and it's that
It's going to be
slow-
crossing that border.
Yeah, I mean, we're already really far down the road of federal government overreach.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so far down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of freedoms that we used to have, we don't have anymore, or they're heavily
Yeah.
legislated.
Yeah. And the reason I ask is because I'm not putting you guys in a certain category, but you guys talk a lot about being, you don't want the government telling you to wear a mask. Not you and I haven't talked about it as much, but you and I have talked about it a lot. So it's like, how do things like that, do you see that in the same light where it's like, hey, like, don't tell me what to talk about, but I get what you're saying. Like, don't teach my children things that I will teach them.
You can teach them. I think you can teach facts. What gay is, and the different types, what non-binary is, what straight is, as a fact, not as what your opinion is or anything like that. I'm okay when you deal in facts. School should be about education, so learning your math, writing, science,
Yeah.
and social studies, geography, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How to fill out a job application. I think that should be taught. How to balance a checkbook. What a check is.
But I mean,
How many kids don't know what a damn check is anymore?
but let's go back to
How to count back
bill,
change.
the bill in hand, which is K through 3. Like, it's pretty fucking simple. Hi, kids. This is a boy. This is a girl. Boys and girls make babies together. Sometimes boys also love boys. Sometimes girls also love girls.
See, and
They can't
I
make babies, but they can still adopt
But
them. They're
see,
still happy.
now
Ta-da.
you're excluding the non-binary.
I totally
and
disagree.
However
That's
else
fourth
you
grade.
go.
That's fourth grade.
Wherever else you
That's
go.
where you get. Yeah, that's
So,
fourth grade level.
I totally disagree. Just don't think kids that age. I don't think it should come up.
I don't think most of them understand.
Yeah,
What's
they
going
don't.
on.
They don't have the awareness in their brain
So again, teach them not to bully.
for the
But-
most part.
But see,
I was
it
gonna
only takes one bad set of parents.
I
It
mean,
only takes.
It
The
does.
only
It
reason
does.
I say that is because it's like, I mean, very early on, like I was 4. I was 4 years old when I knew that something was. I didn't know. I wasn't like, I'm a lesbian. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I grew my. I didn't get like my letter in the mail like Hogwarts. It was like
That would make it
you've
so
been
much
chosen.
easier, wouldn't it?
It would have saved me a lot of trouble. God. You know what I mean? So it's like I think there can be some underlying concept of, hey, and maybe it's just coming from a sense of like, it would have been nice to live in a world where it was like, I don't need that preached to me, but just knowing that like
It's an option.
that is an option. I don't need to know what it is. I just to hear the word, just even the word, like just knowing that there's something other than straight, other than heterosexual.
But see, at 4 years old, you shouldn't know what that is anyway.
But something's different.
You just know. Honestly, you should just know you're a kid. So what did you see on TV? You know what I mean?
But you know what I mean? But kids pick up on that because it's like,
They do.
you know what I
and I'm
mean?
not-
It's like
I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I remember being a kid, and it's like, all the girls on the block would be like, oh my God, like Tom is so cute, and I'm just like, over and over and over again, it was like, I don't think Tom's cute, but I think Katie's cute, or it's like very minute things like that, like where it's not overreachingly obvious. It's not something that's like, hey kids, today we're going to talk about sexuality, and I go, oh, that's me. It's just those little interactions.
And I get that. And there's no good answer.
Yeah,
There's no good way to do it.
yeah,
But I do think that it needs to start at home.
absolutely.
And I think the next generation that's going to be starting to have kids is more open to that conversation than what even our generation
But
would have been.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Nelson. You got to remember too. The government shouldn't. We can't say can't. We'll say shouldn't tell you when to teach your kids things. So you have to understand that sometimes there are ignorant and or arrogant parents out there that when
I agree
they
with
go
that.
home and they're like, "Hey, Dad, Anna has two moms. I don't get it. Oh, well, she's a fucking lesbian. That sometimes those carpet munchers, blah 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 blah." And you spewing ignorance.
You can yell
That's
at him
what
for
he
that.
knows.
No,
But
he's making a valid point.
that-
I mean,
that's what he knows.
Choose
And
your
so-
vocabulary better, please.
And so when that kid comes back into school and is like, "My dad said Like,
Well,
where does the education of
but
that
see,
kid
that's
begin?
when the parents are going to have to be called in because now you're stepping into the bullying area. And what you're saying.
So then,
And how long have we had the anti-bullying stuff going on?
Yet we still have kids younger and
still
younger
have it.
killing themselves.
But
yeah,
and you have schools that don't do anything about it.
Because
When I experienced it, and it got to the point where I'm like, punch him in the face. Well, get in trouble. No, you won't. Punch him in the face.
yeah,
Because we followed the rules. Hit him. Because that's the point we're at.
yeah.
You can only take it for so long. Just like when we were all younger, and it came to the point where, all right, I'm gonna break your nose.
Yeah.
And what happened? They stopped picking on you. That's the point you get to. Then you have to go defend your kid, which is a pain. But I'm like, he's not wrong. You're wrong. He did that. You know, you laid it out. You left with the last option. Same thing here. So, kid comes back to school. My parents said, whatever, whether it's on either side, it's fucking wrong. School needs to take the proper steps to correct it, and that includes contacting the parents and having that sit-down meeting.
Nelson, think about how hard it is to discipline adults these days. What makes you think it's going to be any easier to discipline kids? I hate to say it, but it's true.
And not to
Take the TV, take the computer away and the iPad, and that shit.
It's actually probably easier now than it was when we were kids.
Hey, guess what you're going to do? You're going to go outside on the driveway and play basketball.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have a basketball hoop at my driveway. If you guys want to come play some b-ball outside of the school,
Can you play though?
Yeah, I can shoot hoops.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that. That's part of my.
Can you take an
exercise
elbow to the
regimen.
chest right now?
No, no, I will drop to the floor. Absolutely, but like not to veer from the child conversation. I was kind of like what you were hitting on with like just like the government overreach was my concern. It's not like, and that is about like
And
that.
I worry about that too.
that's a
Don't get me
whole-
wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I'm for the bill.
yeah,
I'm not saying I'm against the bill, but I think it starts at home, and parents need to step up and be fucking parents like they were back in the day. I took plenty of ass whoopings because I was a dick as a child.
still.
I was worse.
Still are.
Well, that brings me to the point that I made yesterday of, you have parents who are now parents that weren't raised that way. So how can you expect them to raise the kid right whenever they weren't raised right?
Yeah.
So
I think when you get older into junior high or middle school, whatever you want to call it, and even in high school, you're able to have more of those open conversations. And like I said, this generation that's coming up seems more open to it than what even we were in high school. Because there was kids you knew were probably gay, and you made the jokes, but you didn't understand because it was so new still.
Yeah.
And there was mistakes were made, and we're going to keep making those mistakes. It might be different. It's never going to stop. You're going to keep learning. You're going to keep growing.
One of the saddest things for me was after my senior class graduated, there were 5 kids in our high school that came out. And
After high school
no,
or during.
after my class graduated. And I remember joking with one of them because I was friends with all of them, and they're like, dude, your class was fucking dicks. We didn't feel comfortable till your class left. And that was like, fuck. Like, that was one of the biggest shell shocks I've ever had. And I was just like,
you don't realize it.
yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's like I grew up with my brother saying things that like you can't say to someone that shouldn't say it in general, but like you probably shouldn't say it around someone that's gay. You know what I mean? And it's like, but like I've said that word like as a kid because it's like that's what you like that's what you grew up doing, and then as you get older, kind of like you said, like you learn and you go, okay, like, hey, like that's not acceptable, but it's like, I don't think, at the time it's like, you're not saying it because you have the intention of being hurtful in that regard. You're just,
it goes back to ignorance.
Yeah. And it's just like, so that is frustrating though.
We took a weird left turn at Albuquerque.
But
So on that note,
but
on that note,
on a different episode though, I think we could easily relate it back to again, like the bullying and like not everyone was as clear cut. I'm gay. I've had a decent experience for the most part, as you have been.
Oh yes, yeah, and I can tell you that of the women that I have dated, I am one of very few that had a very like very normal and like healthy experience with my coming out, like from childhood to into adulthood. Like almost everyone I've dated has been ostracized by their family in some way or another.
I would hope we're seeing less of that today than what we did.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where again, it's more accepted now.
Yeah.
And things have changed. And do we take a step back every now and then? Yeah, we do, and we're going to.
Yeah.
Just like with everything, but I think we're still moving in the right direction. It's just going to take time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the solution for everything.
Chris, what's your favorite thing? Is
Don't be a Richard.
don't be a dick.
Right.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Kindness goes a long way.
Patrick Swayze said it best. Be nice.
Yeah. And on that note, which is the best.
But wait, there's more.
We're actually going to talk for 2 more hours.
No, we got the wrap it up sign.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's time.
Because
I almost
We're
gave one
done.
of these.
Like, hey,
Listen.
we're having a conversation here, and we're going places.
I didn't want any of us to drive home in 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, is it that bad out
Yeah.
right now?
Oh.
Oh,
So you're welcome.
shit. All right.
I was trying to keep it low key, but since you want to fucking expose me over here,
I think you should come out in front of the camera and do it.
no.
Yeah, because you were like,
Yeah, do it.
Well, I texted you fuckers, but you won't look at your phone. So
oh, did you? You
Yeah.
did not text me. You
Oh, I
don't
sure the
even
fuck
have my
did.
number.
We are 68 episodes in, and he can't figure out that I'm not looking at my fucking phone while we're doing a podcast because I care about what our guest is saying, and I'm here and I'm invested and I'm interacting with them. I'm not playing on
you know
my
how many of
fucking
these
phone.
conversations her and I have had while healing from injuries?
We've really bonded, unfortunately.
I feel sorry for you.
I do too.
I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna do, when he goes back. But I'm also like, when are you going back? But mostly, please don't go back.
That's what my wife says. That's what she says verbatim.
Yeah,
Did you need to go back to work? Well, no, I don't want you to go back to work.
yeah. Can you? No, I don't know. Can you just? I don't know.
Don't touch me. I want a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women,
I'm gonna go sit down.
fucking women.
I got a headache.
So,
But I felt like Anna's. I'll tell you what. She's kind of made you think about things like the COVID thing, and then, of course, being gay, because you're able to have an open conversation, and you actually learn a lot more.
well, it
Which is
goes
a good
back to the
thing.
whole point of the ability to have an open conversation and communicate, and
And
then,
not be offensive in the questions you ask, even if the question
It's a
is
difficult question.
difficult or offensive,
Yeah.
yeah.
but still get that answer, because there's no easy route to get to where you need to be, which is being a better person.
Yeah.
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 It reminds me of a story from a party we were at in Lawrence, which we'll talk about off camera.
I was drunk. I don't remember, so it doesn't count.
Anyway,
yeah.
so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Final thoughts. James, go first.
I would definitely like to have Anna back on. Really just kind of dive in. You asked a good question, Anna, like, what's it been like in the field? Because I know you enough to know that you truly give a shit, so there may be some quote-unquote, like, very loose when I say it's, like, almost survivor's guilt.
Yeah. Yes. Thank
So
you
I
for
think
saying
it
that.
would be, I'd like to dig into that more sometime.
Okay.
So
Chris.
Just don't be a dick. That's my go-to now. No, I think Anna's come back on. I think there's a lot of different avenues that we could explore and have conversations about. Because you talked about therapy for a little bit.
Yeah.
And how long? We don't know how long you've been in there, which we could talk about that on another
I
one.
love talking about therapy.
And
It's my jam.
which is a good thing. but you could talk, and kind of what all you've been able to talk about and how you've grown as a person. Because the COVID thing wasn't easy.
Dealing with you wasn't
being gay,
easy.
I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm a topic of many conversations with your therapist. Everything I said, I always said with all due respect before I say it.
It's in the Geneva Convention.
Just saying. Just
Just
saying.
saying. Just saying. With all due respect.
Knife hand. Just saying.
Yep, she's got my knife hand down.
Yep.
Holy shit.
I've been doing it too. Like during this
We're gonna work on the
conversation.
thumb placement though.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know if I should be up or like in. It just doesn't look as good as when I do it that way.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, even coming out when you did, and as early as you did, it still couldn't have been easy because it was still not as accepted. Again, I know I keep going back to that, but as it is today.
Yeah, and it was more
You know.
of being Catholic that was the
Well,
most terrifying.
that's-
that was a
and-
whole nother.
It's a 7-part miniseries. on its own.
Nebraska.
Yeah,
It wasn't
Yeah.
like you were in L.A.
yeah.
or New York.
There's a Netflix documentary coming out. It's a 7-part series.
Oh,
No, I'm just
sweet.
kidding.
It's gonna be about this.
Yeah, this is actually the first episode. I'm actually
Oh.
just going to take.
We're
this
getting
and-
on Netflix.
Yes, you will
Yes.
get. You will get all the recognition that you guys
If
deserve.
Nick Kroll can have 2 shows on Netflix, we can have one.
If Tiger King can be a thing, then sure
Yeah.
as shit.
We don't have enough controversy for Netflix, I don't
That
think.
bitch Carol Baskin.
Hey there, all you cool cats and kittens.
All right.
He said that.
All right.
So,
It feels good saying that in a microphone. I can see why she said it.
yeah. Anna, final thoughts.
First of all, I want to say thank you, big thank you, to letting me come and talk on your guys' podcast and for being patient with my schedule changes. And kind of like Chris has said, it's like it's just so nice to be able to have conversation and be able to learn things, and I think this is just perfect timing with the whole road that I've been going down, and just kind of like that journey of like, okay, who am I now? Where do I go from here? How can I still help people and do things that are meaningful and find things that are meaningful? And I think I've definitely found it in Chris, in our time together and things that we've done. I know that.
That was
Could you
weird.
see how hard it was for me to
That was
say
weird.
that? Like that was painful for
I'm
me to
really
say.
uncomfortable right now.
I'm not even hugging you. And
Are
you're
you so
fucking-
uncomfortable?
Are you sure that's a big project? Are you sure you want to take that on?
Yeah,
We actually work really well together.
we do, and it's funny because I actually thought you were a dick when I first met you. So but that
First
I say that out about my
impressions,
best
yeah,
friend.
are
Like
usually right.
I thought he was a dick too, and we're best friends. So
I
it's
still
like
hate Jeremy. I mean,
I actually don't like anybody in this room that much,
I
but
don't blame you.
it's but so I don't know, and just learning about this, it's cool because it's like there's so many things you don't hear about being in EMS or being in the first responder service, and it's like there's such a stigma just about not even talking about like mental wellness or anything, like just having open conversations, where it's like, hey, like that's the beauty of our job though, because we have so many different people from different backgrounds and different beliefs, and it's like I love having these conversations, so I'm just very thankful to be here. And so
Well, we are very glad that we were able to get you here.
I'm gonna come
So,
back, and then
yes.
you're not gonna be able to get me to leave.
she's gonna take my spot.
Ask
as
Chris,
the host.
yeah. You'll be
taking my
like,
spot.
Anna,
That
you're
was the
not,
plan?
you're
Yeah.
not showing up today. Like
Yeah.
it's not your turn, and I'll just be like, no, I'm here, guys.
Yeah. You have extra chairs, so I know. And there's a microphone. I
Yep.
saw it.
I'll just hide out in the corner and just peep in every once in a while.
There you go.
So
She'd be more dependable than me or James.
that's questionable. I don't know.
Let's see.
Maybe.
If you get 3 of us, you got pretty good.
Pretty good odds.
One of us will show up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
maybe.
It'll be like softball. Everybody shows up for one night and then nobody shows up the next weekend.
Or they're on their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some
So.
people.
All right,
Well-
Gravity, you're up.
That's a new one.
You call him Gravity?
That's the first time.
Why?
No, it's not.
Can I get
Not here.
Can I get the background of that?
Yeah, he saw a bloody toe and passed out. Had to get stitches.
Oh, that's okay.
Somebody got
That's-
shot in the foot.
You got shot in the foot.
No.
No.
I was doing my EMS clinicals.
Okay.
I was doing my EMS clinicals, and it was my hospital turn in the ER. And so they're like, hey, come into this room and help this doctor. So I go in there, and this dude is shot in the foot with a 22. Not a big deal. It's not like I've never seen blood before. I grew up in Louisiana hunting, so I've like killed shit, skinned
I've
it.
killed some people.
I've done some things, Anyway, but no, I'm sitting there and the doctor's like showing me this guy's foot, and the guy's like, very nonchalant about it, and I'm like feeling a little queasy, and I don't know why. And the next thing that I know is I'm laying on the fucking floor bleeding from my face.
Did you pass out again from your own blood?
No, I did not.
It was like a reoccurring, like
Yeah.
you just
They
couldn't get out
They
of
put
that
his legs
cycle.
up in the air.
Yeah.
They Trendelenburged you.
So what I heard later was whenever I fell, I, obviously hit my head and fell, but I fell in front of the door. And apparently,
Does your body block the door?
Yes.
That
And
is awesome.
apparently this doctor freaked the fuck out.
Like he'd never seen someone pass out
I
before.
guess.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm lucky that I don't have more TBI than I do, because apparently I got the shit kicked out of me. I'm not sure that I actually hit my head when I fell, or if it was him moving me out
But
of
you
the
did.
way.
You did at some point.
I did get stitches in my face.
Oh my
So,
god.
We
yeah.
called him that back in the academy, but that was a long time
Yeah,
ago.
I've been hitting the head since then, so I don't remember.
Man, that's a good story.
Yeah.
That's a
we
really
made fun
good
of him for
story.
the rest of the academy. for
Yeah.
it, too.
Yeah, it was awesome because it happened on like a Saturday and backed on a Monday to the academy.
So walk in, he's got stitches on his forehead or his
Yeah.
eyebrow.
I'm surprised.
Just tell people that you died, and then it's like then you're just like so much cooler.
I'm almost 100% sure that Hopkins was at the hospital with me.
I think he was.
Yeah. So, anyway, wrap it all up. 60-mile-an-hour winds. It's awful. So, Anna, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Did you have
Thank
fun?
you.
Yeah.
I did. I had I'm like I don't care about the wind. I'm like let's keep going. That's what that meant, right? Like let's go, keep going.
Yeah, Jeremy's got plenty of food, so we're good.
And so you got a bathroom, you got food. I live like 5 minutes away from
Yeah,
here.
I take back
Oh.
roads home.
Yeah. So
All right.
sorry, mustache.
See that look on his face?
You don't even have your shoes on.
See,
like
and this
you
is
are,
why.
you are just chilling. Like you are
yeah,
not in a rush to
he's
get
not
out of here.
going anywhere.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
That's why we need the multiple camera setup. So you have a camera on you.
So I have to put on shoes?
No.
I didn't say you had to put
Absolutely
on
not.
shoes.
I don't
You
care
wouldn't be
about
able to
shoes.
see him anyway.
Okay. Well, you guys can call my grandpa
Uh-huh.
and tell him how he won't have help putting the thunder shirt on his dog.
I probably
It's
need
not
to go
funny.
do
I'm
that,
sorry.
too.
I'm really sorry.
Do you guys sing the Thunder Buddy song? Can you do that?
Fuck you, thunder. You can suck my dick.
No, that would probably scare the Australian Shepherd, which she's the one who needs the thunder shirt.
Our dogs are good.
I should have drugged her a little more, but all right.
All right.
Anyway, Anna, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. We're
Thank
going to
you,
have
thank
you
you.
back on. It was awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And like we say every episode, if you are struggling, reach out. There are resources out there. People care. You are not alone. Everybody goes through shit. So reach out. If you know somebody that is struggling, have the open and honest conversation. Be blunt. Let them know that you care. Let them know what resources are out there. Thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by.